Kody gear. Athletic support items created by
Okay.
grapplers for grapplers. Fire Grub Meal Prep. Meal prep done right.
Yeah. Check it out.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is your good friend Rafa Sparza here on what is 12:06 on Best Coast time. It is a pleasure to have you guys joining us today. We have I've heard people call things humdinger of a show. I don't think that's an actual expression. We have an amazing show for you guys today. We have 3 guests who had amazing weekends. I'm very much looking forward to chatting with each of them. So you guys are definitely going to want to stick around today. A little bit later in the hour, we are going to have Renato Canuto, and then later on at about 2 p.m. Best Coast time, we will have William Tackett. But right now, we have a gentleman who had a big win over the weekend on DJ Jackson, which is not easy to do. That dude's... he's like a little mini brick, if you would. And so I wanted to go ahead and bring this gentleman on to not only talk about that win, but a little bit about his own history. And amazingly, we need to get him more super fights. So we're going to get to that right now. But ladies and gentlemen, why don't you go ahead and do me a solid and help me welcome our first guest here today, Kody Steele. Kody, how you doing, sir?
Hey, it's going good. How's it going?
Very well. First question, and be honest, is that your real name?
Yes, sir. It is my real name, Kody Steele.
Because you do understand that sounds like what a child would name themselves if they thought they were an action star, right? It's also verging on like a little bit of porn star, right?
Yeah, it works both ways, you know.
Okay.
I mean, whichever.
When I heard the name Kody Steele, I thought, that just sounds like you need to be on like a poster for an action movie with like a gun and be like, Kody Steele stars in Never Forget.
Yeah, it works out perfect that way. So I'm just going to keep riding with it, and hopefully we can make something good out of that.
Absolutely. Did you get teased at all for that name, or did you just own it real quick? Because you seem like you've heard these things before.
Perfect.
I mean, there's a lot of puns you can use for it. You know, if you ever catch somebody, you're like, oh, did you get Steel Resolved right now? You know, if you ever have a look after you win a fight, you can call it Blue Steel. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can work with here, sir.
I've heard them. I've heard them all. I've heard Blue Steel. I've heard all of it. You know, like, oh, he is made of steel, so that makes sense. And
I mean, we talk about DJ, but I want to bring up you. You're not small either. Like, you're fairly well built yourself.
Yeah, I used to kind of fluctuate between like 160 a lot, but then like as I've been growing, getting older, I just lift a lot of weights and I eat a lot of food, but I eat clean. So when I'm lifting, you know, I'm hoping to put the lean gains up, and that's what I'm going for.
I mean, lifting's cheating. Everybody knows that when it comes to this. We have a couple people. Jordan is on the messenger, and he just put 1,000 emojis. There's the prayer hands, hot fire, googly eyes with hearts, and then lots of muscles. So that's what he's putting up for you. Let me ask this, though. Okay, so let's talk about how this match came together, because you versus DJ is pretty fun to watch, but how did you get the call that you were going to have a match with him?
So I was supposed to originally go against Mateus Lutz from Marcelo Garcia's, but then he got a match with Craig Jones, and he said he hurt his knee from that match, I guess. So fortunately, they had to pull him out, and then they were trying to get me a match, find me a new match, and then Ryan was like, would you want to go against like Kid Dale? And I was like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I want to fight. I would definitely love to get a match with Kid Dale. But he's also like heavier, so he's like, you'd have to go up in weight. And I was like, fuck, I mean, I'll do it. But then they are like saying like, and then he offered me DJ, and I was like, shit, I didn't even know DJ fought at like 175, and he's saying he'd come all the way down to 175 and fight. So I was like, oh, that's perfect. So we set that up, and then yeah, it just worked out real great. And so I'm gonna hopefully, get some more of that, get some more fights going.
What was that weight at? Because you guys are just of those two indiscernible weights that I don't understand. Like, I could look at you and be like, you look like you can go up or down fairly quickly.
Yeah, that was at 175. I normally like to try to fight around 75 range. I'll go up to like 80, but I prefer to fight around like the 80 to 175 for sure. Yeah, but he came all the way down to 175. I thought he was like walking around like 90s or almost even 200. Like, I used to watch him all the time, and I was like, he just like built like a little fire hydrant. So I was like, shit, I didn't even know he can get down that low. But yeah, I mean, then I saw him, he was a little bit shorter, so it made sense.
Yeah, I mean, again, when I say indiscernible height and weights, I look at the both of you and I'm like, I don't know what weight classes you are. There's so many other body types that you just go like, that's a 170, or you look at you and you're like, yo, I don't know. It's a guessing game, dude.
Yeah, I walk around about like 180, 181, maybe 82 sometimes, but.
So let's do this. Tell me about the match, because, I mean, again, the clip that I saw that I think was going viral was you being in a guillotine that most people would probably freak out in being in, but you seemed fairly calm and composed.
Yeah, so I remember like that part. Like, I remember he had the guillotine, and it was pretty tight. It was a lot more tight than I thought I was gonna get, but then it hurt because like I had my tongue like kind of on the side of my cheek. So as he was like choking me, I was also biting the shit out of my tongue. So I was like, fuck, like I gotta get out of this. But yeah, it was pretty tight. I knew I was gonna get out though. Like, I knew he was tired, and then I also was like in the back of my mind, I was like, man, if I pop my head out of this, like he's putting so much pressure down and like trying to finish this. I know once I get out, he's gonna be real tired, and then I can start moving on him again. So thankfully, that happened. But I normally like I can kind of withhold guillotines for a good while. Like, I don't tap too many of them, so it worked out good. I was kind of happy when he kind of latched onto my head. I knew I was gonna get out.
Well, the thing that like I don't want to call it deceiving, but it's definitely something that a lot of people I think wish that they can do, which is that you just kind of like grab part of the bicep and you just kind of like pushed out like, oh, okay, I'm out. Whereas like it just looked effortless, and I know it wasn't. I know you had to put some effort into it, but compared to like how I get out of most guillotines, it looks like night and day, one might say.
Yeah. I just remember he was going on it, and then I had to like try to stack him and get on top of my toes and put the weight on him. And then once he was starting to pull on it, I remember I was able to fish in my hand and start to hand fight with him. Mm-hmm. So after that, I just took it off, and I knew I was good. Once I put my hands on his hands, I was like, okay, I can hold out for this.
I'm curious about this because you said that you watched him a lot, and that you were somebody, who watched a lot of his matches. You're familiar with his techniques. Having that sort of base and recall, were there things in the matches that you were just expecting that he ended up doing? Like, did it go kind of according to the way that you would expect from somebody like him?
Yeah, I mean, I remember like back in the day, like I was like probably blue belt or something like that. I used to have this guy, his name's Chris. He was in the gym, and he was like, man, you need to be like? You need to be just like DJ Jackson. I'm like, he wrestles, he's hard to sweep, he's hard to submit. You can't choke him, you can't take him down. Like, he's just hard to deal with. And so I was just like, yeah. So like I've always watched DJ as like I was coming up, like followed him on Instagram for a long time. And so then it's kind of weird that they're like, oh, you want to fight against DJ, but at the same time, like I felt like we already kind of had the same game. We just like to wrestle and stuff, and like just go forward and push the pace. So I figured it was gonna be a really good match, especially when Ryan offered it to me. I figured like we were gonna just do like crazy scraps and like scrambles and roll and do lots of takedowns. Like I was more prepared for that. Mm-hmm. But I also knew like I felt like I could probably gas him a little bit in the stand up and cardio wise and put a good pace on him. And I think maybe he started to feel it or something, so he ended up pulling guard, and I was like, whoa, that kind of like surprised me. I tried to kick my leg out and make him stand back up, but he just wanted to stay down there. So I was like, okay, all right, we can try this. And then he started doing some other moves, and I thought he was gonna do some other things. And I was just like, after I kind of like had that like mental barrier, like getting over that, I was like, okay, let's just start going forward. Let's start pressing and doing this. So.
Would you say that this is one of your biggest matches to date, or have you had other ones that you kind of felt like, no, that put you at ease to be in that kind of a match?
Kind of. Like, I remember when I started to do jiu-jitsu, I was like fighting, like I fought some other guys. Like I fought like Levi Jones way back before, like when we were like purple belts, and like I was like losing to these guys by like 2 points or an advantage, or like I was barely losing, but I was like, man, fuck, I suck. And it's just like now these guys are like doing really well. So I think for me it's just like a matter of time, I guess. Like whenever it like lines up, and hopefully I can, you know, keep getting these good fights. Like I want to make exciting fights, you know, win or lose. Like I'm hoping that they're always exciting, especially if they're like no gi matches. Gi matches are pretty tough, but I like to do the no gi for sure.
Well, I think that's also in the element of you go what we like to refer to as ADCC style, which is the Sans rash guard. So you're just there being like, listen, I worked really hard for these abs, everybody, and they're just hidden by this gi.
Yeah, it's big.
We always joke because we're like, you know, we give Craig Jones the most hard time, I think, about this, because it's just like, Craig, you just do that because you're a hack and you don't want to be caught in things, and it's easier to slip out of them. But we did notice that. I mean, do you feel like, when do you make that decision that you're just like, nah, I don't want to do a rash guard, or why do you do that?
I don't know. It's just kind of like, it's just like for me, like let's say like I took my rash guard off in the match, and to me, I don't know, sometimes it's just like you're about to start fighting, you know, and you can kind of like mentally trick yourself, like I'm gonna take this off, we're about to scrap, we're about to fight now, you know, and you just kind of like, you can just mentally trick yourself, you know. It's all mental game out there. It's a lot of mental game.
That's pretty funny. I like that you're, you know, we like to call that essentially that bro mentality of being like, whatever, bro, you want to go? You want to go right now, bro?
Let's fucking do this. Yeah. It's great.
That's really funny. I mean, as that match is going on, though, it's a grind. And I can feel as you guys are doing that. How does the match end?
I feel like the match ended, so it's kind of like weird. Like I felt like there's like like at the end, the referee, like I went for the back and I tried to take the back, and then I put one hook in and we started rolling out of bounds, but I was getting ready to put my other hook in, but we landed out of bounds. But then so then they went us back, and I was trying to get in the put my hook back in, but then he was just laying on the ground, and I was like, no, I have my foot in, and then the ref was just like, I don't know, getting confusing. So I was just like, I looked up at the clock and I was like, fuck, there's only 40 seconds left. And I was like, I don't want him to rest anymore. I think I have him at the edge. So I started to just kind of like, I was like, all right, whatever, wherever we start. And then like he said he started with like a deep half hook on me. So I was like, whatever, just take it. And then after that, there's like 40 seconds. So I knew I could at least gut it out and make something happen, or just like hold him off. I felt like I did enough through the whole fight to win the decision at the end. So I was just confident in that at least. So hopefully, and then eventually, like, once the time ran out, I got the win. So I was happy about it.
I mean, again, big congratulations to you. A huge platform. I mean, Third Coast Grappling, and I was just like, dude, the card that they put together, that card, if you would, you know?
Yeah, and it's cool because like now in like the jiu-jitsu, it's like we'll do these tournaments. Like I might go to Pan Am's and I'm gonna go fight somebody really tough, but not many people are watching, you know. So then if I win or if I lose, nobody got to see me do it, you know. But now like Third Coast or these super fights, they make them so big now. It's great because then you can get big fights like this, and then when you win, you can like, people will see it, you know. I feel like I've fought some people and I had good matches with them, but nobody knew, nobody cares, you know. So it's not like that's the only thing about tournaments. And also like super fights, when you're doing a super fight, the more the lights, the people, like they can get you more amped up and it's more of a show. It makes it more fun, you know. I love doing the super fights.
Well, that's what
Third Coast.
Well, that's why, I mean, and kudos for being on that card, and I think that's good. And I think you definitely gave a match worthy of consideration for other super fights, if not that. So, I had asked you off air, I was like, what do you have coming up? And you said, I mean, we don't really have a super fight necessarily landed up. And if I'm looking at somebody like you, I'm thinking, dude, we got to have your plate full. We've got to have you, at least one match a month, because one of the best things I think for grapplers is that mat time that you get in those big light situations. Yeah. And I think when you have somebody that shows a good sense of talent, my favorite thing is always being like, yo, let's match this guy up quick.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I'm hoping I can get something like that lined up. Like, I would love to do like combative jiu-jitsu, like like the EVI stuff with Eddie Bravo. Like, I'd love to do that. That's
really
always, like, caught my eye. I feel like I could do very well in that, or like at least, like I said, make it very entertaining, like hard slaps, big moves, big throws, big takedowns, anything like that. I feel like I can do, and that's a good platform, I think, for me to do well, or just even like Kasai or anything. On all of it, I want to just be on the scene, and I want to fight like entertaining guys too, like that like to do like crazy takedowns or scrambles, or really good scramblers. Those are the guys like I try to want to like get with, make great shows.
Okay, well, that's a pretty compelling argument. I do want to ask this though, because it's very curious to me that when you say that you want to be on these shows, why combat jiu-jitsu? Because so many people are like, I mean, do you have that as an MMA background, or do you have experience striking, or is that just the challenge of seeing if your jiu-jitsu works in that setting?
A little bit of both, because when I started jiu-jitsu, I was like, oh, I want to do MMA. So I was kind of doing a little bit of both, like a little bit of striking, a little jiu-jitsu and all that. But I always liked the jiu-jitsu part more, because I used to come from the wrestling. And then I remember just being so tired. I was only like white blue belt. And then my instructor, Rodrigo, he was like, you just need to focus on one. Like, let's just do jiu-jitsu until you get your pro belt, then we'll look to do MMA. And then I just got so far into the jiu-jitsu, and now I'm brown belt, and it's I want to just I don't know, like now that, and also jiu-jitsu's grown so much then too, so there's all these shows, so now it's like I kind of want to just run with this jiu-jitsu, but definitely like MMA will be something I would like to like kind of dabble into, at least try it, see how it is. I think I could do pretty well in that as well, but for sure combat jiu-jitsu sounds awesome.
To get on those ones, because it takes a particular type of person to be on that sort of show. So I always get very excited to see when people kind of volunteer themselves, because the hard part is like, you notice whenever there's a dropout, it's the hardest one to replace. Like, all of a sudden you see those posts that go up, and they're just like, who wants to come in and get slapped?
Yeah,
and,
slap in the face.
And a lot of people who are great at jiu-jitsu tend to be like,
no, I'm good.
Did you call me? No, I think you meant like that guy over there. So it always makes me laugh whenever you see them trying to replace the combat jiu-jitsu people who aren't stepping forward. And then there's a host of people who are always like, I wish they would call me. I can't tell you how many MMA guys that I've had come up and be like, yo, I need to be on that card. So I definitely get a lot of people doing both of those up and down. So, okay, that's fair enough. All right, well, let's talk about this, because I want to get into your beginnings, but I also wanted to say a little bit of compliments, because you and a couple of the other guys weren't just done doing Third Coast grappling. Mm-hmm. So what else happened over the weekend?
So after that, it was just crazy, because after the match, like the tournament or the super fights didn't end till pretty late. So then after that, me and William, like, we went to go eat food, and then after that we went back to the hotel, and we were just kind of so hyped up from the night. We got back late, and then we didn't really sleep at all. I think we got back to the hotel around like 5, and then we had to be up at 7, but me and him just talked the whole night. And then we was like, all right, I guess we're not sleeping. So then we got in the car, drove back to Austin, and then we got on the plane, went to Chicago around like 12 or something like that. And then me and him just slept on the plane for like 2 hours. And then we were with his little brother, Andrew Tackett, and we flew into Chicago, got an Uber, went straight to the venue, And then we walked down the street, got like a sandwich, walked back, and then changed into our rash guards, and then boom, we were fighting again. Already started fighting, and then it's crazy. Yeah, over at Midwest, it was fun.
Okay, that's a tough schedule to go around, and I know there are others who grind and who do that sort of a schedule, but it is pretty impressive to be able to make two different shows that are grueling. I mean, especially after DJ Jackson, I think I'd take the day off. I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. That was a rough match, and I got a nice win, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. Tell me about the Midwest finishers experience, sir.
So it was good. Like they put it together, and like everybody there was like super nice. Like I definitely want to go compete with them again because they always bring some good guys over there too. But we got there, and I think for the super fight, I was like mid card on the super fight. So I just like the match started, and I just like did like a blast double leg and went like straight through, and then popped out to the other side, and then I came over and I just kind of this smash passing. I hugged the waist, and then took him out, and then went for the arm triangle and finished it. So I kind of got in and out, which was nice. I didn't have to like get too banged up, but I was still pretty sore from like last night, like my neck and everything in my arms from squeezing. So I was like, let's just finish the week strong, and we can go eat, go look around Chicago, have a good time, and relax and just enjoy it, you know. So I just had to like mentally do that. It was all mental, I guess. I don't know. It was all good though.
That's pretty good that you're able to call upon that, because it is difficult, man. I mean, all of competing is a mental game on top of the physical. So being able to put yourself in two different scenarios with two different opponents, and then just be like, all right, listen, I don't want to be here for too long. Mm-hmm. My ideal version of this is crushing this guy and then going to get some kind of pizza. So that's really what I've got going on. If I were one of your teammates, I probably would have gotten like the pizza and just been holding it off to the side and just been like, yo, this is what waits if you win. If you don't, it goes to me.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it was kind of a little scary too, because then it was like I was fighting this guy who he pulls guard, and then he does like a lot of outside heel hooks. So I was like, oh man, I'm fighting two completely different people. So I was like preparing for one, but I was also kind of preparing for the other. But I was trying to like really prepare for the DJ one, and then after I won the DJ one, I was like, fuck, now I gotta go over here fight this guy. It's like, and heel hooks are just like dangerous, you know. Sometimes like you could be beating a guy, and then boom, all of a sudden he can snatch a heel hook up on you. And,
well, you know, you get to that nice mount position, and then all of a sudden, you know, it's like a dominant position. They're just like, aha, I was waiting for this, and now my heel hook, yay! It's just like, I don't know. As somebody who has I wouldn't say a history, but a very, very comfortability in getting the shit kicked out of me in my game for a long period of time, and then just being like, all right, hold on, you had your 5 minutes, let me do my thing. And literally, I had a training session this morning, and this kid who I work with, he's awesome, but he's just so happy he's kicking the shit out of me, and then literally I'll just be like, all right, are you done?
Yeah.
All right, now it's my turn. And he's always like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I'm just old. Listen, kid, you do your thing. You'll be great. You're going to be an amazing practitioner by the time you're my age. But I don't got time to be fighting you with speed and strength. It's not really my thing. So it's definitely part of it. That's pretty good, man. And of course, William had a great weekend as well. We'll be talking with him a little bit later. But how did it feel, though, to be having such a great weekend, though? I mean, if you're talking about competitive goals and competitive like mindset and positivity and trying to put out there what you think is going to happen, both you and William had statistically what would be hard to accomplish for both of you to have such a great weekend. And that's not even including his brother.
Yeah. We were just so hyped today. And then when it was all done and said with, we would just be walking. We're like, man, can't believe we just did that. Like, that was some crazy shit. Like, and we just hype each other up. You know, like we hype each other up all the time. And we're always, like I said, we're always together. A lot of times we're together like about 90% of the day. So we're always talking about either jiu-jitsu, girls, whatever, you know, all of it. So, and then his brother was with us too, and he's like a little crazy kid. So he's hilarious, and he did really well too. He won his fight, and so we were all just like, you know, trying to just enjoy it, and it was fun. Yeah.
Well, I liked when I was watching the stream. All of a sudden, you know, you're watching William have a great tournament, and then they look over and I see another Tackett on there, and I go, Wait,
yeah.
what? And like
Yeah.
I had a split second where I was like, did he just put on a fake mustache and decide he wanted to compete a little bit different?
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, of course. Okay, so his brother's there. All right. It just felt so, the placing of it, especially when he's getting toward the end of the tournament. You saw on the little clips on there, and props to the Midwest finishers. I love those guys. I gave them so much shit for not streaming their qualifiers. That they're like, Raph, we promise we will have it up. And I was like, listen, I put on tournaments where I promise to stream and then shit happens. So I know the real thing. It's just when I talk with you guys, it's way easier to be like, hey, I saw it. I saw you compete live. It was fun. But even when like you don't have those clips, you go, describe how you did. Because I only saw this. So for me, it's always like, I want to be informed and a good host. But this time I got to watch the whole thing. So I got to see all of you guys compete. It was a great event. But at the very bottom, at times, they would have a mix-up of who was coming up next.
Yeah.
So you would see people, you're like, they're not going up next, they're now. Or that's not going to happen for another 3 matches. So when I saw a Tackett down there, and I was like, no, he needs to rest. Let that man go away for a minute. And then I go, oh, his brother. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's pretty tight that you guys have your own little crew and that you guys had an amazing weekend. What does a celebration look like for you guys? Because you mentioned food. I'm quite familiar with Illinois food. So where do you guys end up going? And how much is consumed? Do you go up 3 weight classes or no?
Yeah, well, the like after the Chicago tournament, we went to some like museums. Like I forgot what it was called.
Think
Chicago stuff. So if we're like in a different state, we kind of like to go like see what they offer in that state and stuff like that. And then yeah, we eat a lot of food. Like I think this was actually the first time though, where like I was just like telling boys, I was like, man, I'm just not gonna eat like a lot. Like I'm gonna eat a lot, but like I don't want to make myself feel sick. Because then like I'm always coming back home on the plane ride, and my stomach is just like fucked up, and I just feel terrible. And then I gotta go back to the gym like the next day, and I'm like training, and I'm like sweating all this shit out, and I'm like, fuck, this sucks. So this time I was like being responsible. So I think I just stayed at least 1 division up. Like we ate ice cream, we ate all that pizza and stuff, but I just didn't like destroy myself. Like normally I like fuck myself up pretty good with like, oh, you can eat sushi and like throw some chips down there, throw some ice cream, throw some whatever, throw all that stuff down there. Like, and then they start having like eating competitions, and it's ridiculous. I'm like, God,
Right? No. Okay.
Crazy.
Children.
Yeah.
No. Here's what I had a guest on recently. I think it was actually my buddy Justin. Justin's all of $145, and he does this thing where he just goes, "Oh man, I love to eat," and I was like, "Listen, little guy, you don't register."
Yeah.
All guys under $145, actually $150, they're all the same weight class to me. Mm-hmm. So anytime somebody tells me they're like, "Oh, I'm 135," I was like, "Same class." Same thing. It doesn't really count to me. So when those little guys are telling you, they're like, I love to eat. And I'm like, you don't eat at the big boy table like the rest of us. Like when I eat, I eat. And at one point he goes, well, I challenge you to an eating competition. I was like, that's stupid.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that at
all. Why are you gentlemen doing eating competitions? Like, is that just built into your competitive nature that you decide, well, it was fun competing on the mats. Now let's see who can eat the most.
Yeah, I don't know. It's more like little Andrew, that kid. Like everything's a competition to him. Like he'll be eating hella quick, and everything he does, we'll be walking, or he'll be walking into me, and you're just like, he just walks hella quick. I'm like, what's wrong with you, boy? Why are you so crazy? But it's like it's everything, Like we're all pretty competitive, but in a friendly way. So if like we're lifting weights, they'll try to like bump up some weights, and then it's just like, someone will be like, oh, like, yeah, I had some pizza, and I'll just be like, yeah, well, I had chicken and rice last night, so I guess I'm gonna have to fuck you up today, boy. And then we keep each other on our diets, and we're very good at like keeping on each other. And we were doing bleachers, like we have like a Snapchat group with me and the boys, and then like a few other guys from the gym who are like really tough. And like if we're at the bleachers, like, all right, bleachers tomorrow at this time, or yoga at this time, and then they'll show up, we'll be taking a video on the snap. I'm like, where the fuck you at? Like guess you're sleeping, slacking. we're here, you're not, and then we're like, so we always keep each other, like, we're always doing something together.
You guys might actually be the first group of people that I've ever heard be like, yo, we being competitive for yoga too, dog. Where you at? I'm like, yo, I don't really think of yoga as a very competitive sort of a thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's good, dude. That kind of accountability is very hard to find, especially at a high degree, because, a lot of us have training partners who may not have jiu-jitsu, like they do it as a hobby. So to them, it might just be like, yo, I mean, it's cool if we train, but to find somebody who's going to keep you accountable so that you guys can all achieve your competitive goals, when you get that group, you have to hold on to them.
Yeah, like we all have the same goal. Like we're all trying to get to the top and do things, and we're all like we keep each other accountable for all of it. But yeah, it's same dream, same goal. So we just do everything together: morning drills, morning workouts, morning everything, and then late night drills and late night workouts. And yeah, I mean, and then, like I said, it goes to everything from food to freaking yoga. Like we'll be sitting down stretching, and then I'll look over, and Andrew or William or one of them will be doing handstands for a long time. I'm like, fuck that. And then I'll start doing handstands, and then we're just doing handstands. We're doing crazy shit. We just always do a bunch of weird, random, stupid stuff.
I'll tell you this much: it is very lucky you guys are not at my gym. I would just be insulting you the entire time. Every time I see some of the guys do handstands, I always just I do one of two things. I laugh at them and I mock them because, well, I can't do it. And the second reason is like whenever they do those handstands, I'm not sure if you're familiar with pro wrestling, but it's like literally putting themselves into a walls of Jericho kind of a thing. So it's like a Boston Crab sort of thing. So I just grab their legs and just go like, all right, that's the easiest way to put you guys into this. And they always laugh. I'm like, it's your stupid fault for showing off.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna show off. I'm gonna kick your ass. I don't like that. And then they just start laughing. That's great, dude. So tell me a little bit about your beginnings, because I want to get the behind the scenes story of like what makes you you. You mentioned that you started off kind of with a little bit of MMA in there. So what was the impetus? What is the thing that made you want to start doing your martial arts career?
Well, I did. I used to live in Washington, over in Port Angeles, Washington. It's over kind of by Seattle a little bit, and it was a real small town, so I just used to like wrestle and stuff over there. And then I remember like I didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself. Like I was kind of like maybe I'll go to school, maybe I'll do this, maybe military. I don't fucking know. Who knows? But I don't want to do military. I know that. I don't want to do anything boring. So I was like wrestling, and I was thinking like I don't know what I'm gonna do after like high school, because like wrestling's awesome. I like really enjoy it. And then we ended up moving to Texas my senior year, because I didn't wrestle for super long, but then we moved over there. Didn't have any wrestling in Texas. So then I was like, fuck, okay, well, what's the next best thing? I mean, there's MMA. So I looked for a gym, and then down the street they have this gym, and my instructor, Rodrigo, he was teaching there. Mm-hmm. And then so that's when I started doing jiu-jitsu in like 2013. Yeah. And then I did jiu-jitsu just to do the MMA because I wanted to fight. And then he told me like, look, just focus. Let's get you really good at one thing first, give you a strong base. And then after that, we'll work from there and work from that. And then like I said, I started growing from the jiu-jitsu, and I've just been in the jiu-jitsu. I kind of like still dabble a little bit in the Muay Thai. Like I need to like get back into it, but I started getting, once I got this Archetype sponsor, I started getting more opportunity to travel more and compete at like all these tournaments. And so I was like, maybe I should just stick with jiu-jitsu a little bit longer and see if I can break through right here before I switch over to MMA and start doing that. But
do you know when that you started to love jiu-jitsu? Everybody has a distinct moment when they know, man, this is kind of for me, especially being a wrestler, you already have a sense of grappling. But when's the moment you know that this is no longer just a hobby, it's like a full-grown addiction?
It was kind of like after my third year, because my first year I wasn't really doing it. I was like in and out. I come in like a normal person, like 4 times a week, once a day. And then that was like the first year. Second year, I was like, okay, like maybe, I'm competing more. I'm doing well, but it's still fun. I was still doing like jobs on the side, and I was thinking about getting ready to go do some like school. And then in the third year, I was starting to do it. And I was like, maybe like I want to do this. At least I want to open up my own gym. And then like, then like my 4th year, the Tacketts, both of those boys, they were training at a different gym. So I was only training with like a bunch of like hobbyists kind of for a while, and then so I wasn't really getting pushed. And then they came over, and then more people came over, and then so after that, I've been having like the training that we have at our gym is like really good now. So like we just now after I realized that we have good training, I was like I can go, I can do this. So I really started in like after that 3rd year, I was just going like twice a day, 3 times a day, lifting weights, eating clean, doing everything right. So I've been trying to stay as consistent as possible with it, with all that.
So that's you're saying about the 3rd year.
Third year.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if that's the case, 3rd year is kind of the moment you're starting to really like fall in love with it. You're being able to do things that are affording you new opportunities. And I gotta imagine it's really hard because when you say you got to get back into the Muay Thai and the kind of the kickboxing, I know that the reason behind that is that you need to dedicate that honest time to being a grappler.
Yeah.
So when do you start to feel like, all right, I'm going to hold off on MMA for a second while I really shore this up? And how do you come to that decision?
I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of feel it out. Like if I like now that like I said, I got this fight with DJ and I won this one. Hopefully, like some more doors will open up for me where I can get some nice super fights, like I said, combat jiu-jitsu or anything like that. So if I start doing that, I'm just gonna keep running with the jiu-jitsu. Like I did enough of Muay Thai and like boxing and stuff to have like an idea of how to do it. Mm-hmm. I used to have some friends, so like when the Tacketts weren't with me, I was doing like instead of like morning jiu-jitsu drills, I was doing morning pad work with like a few of my Muay Thai buddies and stuff. Okay. So like I was doing that for like every morning, like 3 times, and then doing Muay Thai classes, and then I just like took a break and I was like, I'm gonna start focusing on jiu-jitsu and I'm gonna start running with this. So I guess like if the fights stop happening or if I get back into it and then something lines up like, oh, you want to fight this guy, I'll just jump on that and start riding it. But I guess we'll just see whichever doors open.
Awesome. How old are you?
I'm 24. I just turned 24 like April.
Yeah, you got some time. So you definitely have the ability to kind of shore that up. I mean, as we saw this weekend, Lovato himself kind of shows us that, like, yo, dude, you can carve out a nice jiu-jitsu career, and then next thing you know, make it look effortless in there where you're just kind of competing, where he beats through a number of opponents, and then even when he's got a tough pull in Gegard, that jiu-jitsu, came through, man.
Fuck yeah, it's really cool to see stuff like that because like then when you see other people do it, you're like, fuck, I could do that shit too, and then like it's a good motivator,
Well,
that's awesome.
He's been paving the way for a lot of American practitioners to look at and be like, oh, hey, yeah, I can compete as an American in a Brazilian-dominated sport. Oh, hey, now I can go to MMA and actually have a 10-0 career and then be a champion. So awesome. It's pretty stoking to see that man doing it. And here's the good news that you share with him commonality-wise. I saw what he was eating over the weekend, and that man...
Be putting it down.
Let me see if I can write this down. I had to actually send this photo to one of my friends who I do the co-host with on Verbal Tap. He had, and I want to make sure I'm quoting him on this. He had a Krispy Kreme donut burger, and a Captain Crunch fried chicken burger. Now, I wish I had sent this to myself to have it on there, but just so that you guys can see what it is he had here, It's impressive, and I'm looking at him being like, listen, champ, you eat what you want.
Yeah, you do what you do.
So let's do this. I want to ask more about, when you find that you love jiu-jitsu, you're getting all these great matches. When did you have a transformative moment? Because you fall in love with jiu-jitsu, you start to do it more, it becomes your passion, it becomes more than a hobby, it becomes something that you're professionally doing. But do you ever have this moment where you just kind of go like, yeah, I am at this level? You mentioned competing with like Levi Larry Jones and all these guys who are blowing up, who are, you're just in the thick of it. But when is that transformation happening for you?
Hopefully now, it was kind of like, honestly, it's funny because like William, me and him, we get in some like crazy scraps in the gym. We're always scrapping in the gym. Like sometimes he's outdoing me, sometimes I'm outdoing him, but because we're about the same size, but we have different styles. So it's like, it's really nice to have that in the gym. But then we were supposed to do the ADC trials, and I ended up like busting my ankle hard. Like I was rolling with the white belt, and he just pulled me back on it and just blew my ankle up like bad. Like I was supposed to go to this Keenan seminar. I was supposed to have a great day. I was like, it was gonna be awesome, and yeah, my ankle just blew up bad, and I was like, I couldn't walk on it for at least like 2 to 3 weeks, like solid. Like I was like on crutches, and then I was just kind of like walking, and then like I think like a few weeks after that, then William went and competed at the trials and got second at the trials and beat like Renato Coco and like Jason Rao. Like he beat all these like big names and stuff. And I was like, fuck. I was like, if he can do it, I can definitely do it. So like after that, my mindset changed. And then when, like I said, then I got this offer with DJ, and I was like, this is good. I've been watching him enough. I know I see his setups. I know his wrestling style, or like, you know, and all this. But it's kind of like that. But yeah, it's just like after seeing that, like the doors kind of opened up, and I was like, yeah, I can run with this. I can definitely do this. And then now winning this match, I was like, now I can definitely do this. Now it's more belief, and it's just like you just got to keep the fire going and keep riding that roller coaster, you know.
Does this white belt know that he will be killed for life now? Like, does he know he's a marked man for making you miss an ADCC?
I don't know. Every time, like, I'm so cool with him. I'm like, what's up, man? He says sorry. He can barely speak English. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, no.
Man,
oh, no.
Fuck me up real good. I was moving well with him. I was
Mm.
treating him real nice. And then he just did me dirty like that. I was like, God, the disrespect. God damn. Like that.
I always laugh because there is that moment when I think white belts kind of get the discovery of, oh, they can end this at any time.
Yeah, and they can.
Yeah, and then you're just looking at him being like, yo, dude, this is really not cool. I've come home. I think I famously have this story where there was this person, this white belt. Mm-hmm. He hits me with an elbow, and my eye, nutty professors, you know? And unlike you guys have a cool excuse whenever you have something like an eye mark, you know, where you're like, oh, I'm an athlete, I'm a professional. I'm a host, I appear on shows like this. So when I've got a mark on there, they know I'm training, but I don't have the cool excuse of being like, oh, Raph, where'd you get that from? And I'm like, rather not talk about it. But this particular white belt, he was so sorry, and I was like, okay, no problem. Do what you need to do. Next thing you know, I let him get to mount. I'm letting him work there. And when he gets to mount, he does the unfriendly version of the Ezekiel, which is the throat punch. And so it's him getting here and starting to jam this fist into my throat. And I was like, motherfucker, I let you here.
Yeah. Disrespect.
And I was just looking at him and I go, all right, I'm done here. And I like get him out. And it's weird because I tell people this. I'm like, you really can't do this move. But if you really piss me off and you put my adrenaline in there, apparently you can. So he's doing this to me, and because I'm underneath, I literally do the same to him, and I start jamming my fist in there. And he's like looking at me being like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And I immediately go to heel hook this kid, and then meanwhile, like, one of my friends goes, did you just heel hook your first white belt? And I was like, I had just cause. I feel no problems with that. And I was like, I've never heel hooked a white belt ever. But he hit me in the face. My black eye's here, and then he just started to be a dick. I was like, I would have been fine with a black eye and just been like, all right, here we go. So, anyway, that's a pretty good thing. Let me ask this, dude. This is important because I want you to learn how to, like, sell yourself. I want you to learn the finer details of getting you bigger matches, bigger events. The more opportunities I feel are the better. Why should somebody put you on one of their events? Here is your opportunity to sell yourself. So take your moment, think about it for a second, and when I point to you, you're going to have the camera all on you, and I want you to just sell the public as to why they should put Kody Steele, that name is still hilarious, on one of their cards, sir.
Okay, well, I'm not too sure, but I mean, I don't know. Like I said, like win or lose for me, it's always gonna hopefully be fight of the night, bring eyes to me. I mean, like on my Instagram, I have like some good like little mini highlights of me like suplexing people and stuff backwards on their heads and doing big takedowns. Like for me, like I like to drill like the big moves that make the biggest ahs. You know, I'm always gonna try to like I said, if someone's like working me in the fight and he's just kind of throwing me around like mollywopping my ass, then I'll just like I know I'll probably get something on him. Like he'll leave something open where I'm gonna be able to get his waist or get his back, and I'm gonna finish, or I'm gonna just toss him in the air by one leg, you know. So I'm in like the winning business too, for sure, but I'm also in the entertaining business. I want to just entertain people, and I think that's gonna help the sport grow as well. You know, when you do crazy shit like that, and like, that's will start to go viral, and people will be like, Jesus Christ, jiu-jitsu is awesome, you know. You know, so hopefully, you know, I just can get like good matchups with good people and entertaining fights.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. You know, you're good at what you're good at. You're good at, you know, making sure that you bust people up in matches. I'm good at the talking. So would you like me to take a little stab at this?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, here's why you want to put Kody Steele on one of your next events. Not only is this tough son of a bitch looking to drill things that's going to put people on their heads, pile driving them, putting them into unconsciousness, the more important thing is he wants highlight finishes. He wants to make it entertaining for you. He wants a return on your investment so that you're not being bored during one of his matches. And yeah, he might kill one of the Tackett brothers to get his name up on lights, but I want to tell you guys this right now. You want to invest in this young man because he's got a promising career. He's willing to make the journey and grind without getting any sleep, get on a plane, sleeping on one of the Tackett brothers, which I don't really want to get into, but I mean, I guess that's how close they are. And he really wants to make sure that he will go out of his way to put on a show, not just in one territory, but in two territories within a 24-hour period. That is a good return on investment. So if you really want to have somebody who's going to put some fucking asses in seats and enjoy the type of grappling that this man has to offer, you'd be stupid not to put him on one of your cards. How's that?
That's perfect. I wish I said that.
I mean, awesome. Again, listen,
you killed
dude,
it.
I can't take down people like you can. This is my gift, you know?
Yeah, like you killed that. Yeah, that's great.
It's all right. You know, it was like, I would give myself like an 8 out of 10. I was just short of being like, let me tell you something. But I like the idea of this, man. I have a big appreciation of those people who kind of take it as a duty to perform and put on a show. Because it's hard. As a competitive grappler, it's very easy that you can skate by and kind of win. And I feel like you're right. I mean, there's a lot of momentum in the world of no-gi grappling. So yes. I think that's a really cool thing. You know, in a different setting, if I were to sell you, I'd be like, I mean, just look at this man. Just look at him. I mean, this dude's got washboard abs. Listen, he's got some great apparel coming in from what? Who is your Archetype? Is that the name of the folks?
Yes, sir. Archetype.
Yeah. There's a reason they're sending you non-sleeved shirts, if you would, because they're just like, this kid's lifting and we don't have too many of those in jiu-jitsu, so we need to make sure he's good. That's remarkable, dude. I just want to see you get more opportunities and get out there and start grappling more, because I have seen your highlights, I've seen what you've been doing, and I thought it was a great opportunity. When I heard that you had a match with DJ Jackson, I said, okay, all right, let's see how that goes, because that's a big card, that's something you want to be a part of, and I think there's a really big thing of producing. And when William said, he was like, hey man, we'd love to, you know, introduce you guys. And I was like, bring them on. I'm familiar with his work. And so it's nice when you get the opportunity to put a little shine on what people are working so hard on behind the scenes. So I just hope you know that what you're doing is good. Continue that path and continue working and grinding like that.
Oh yes, sir. It's part of it. We enjoy it. We all get sore together, and then when we're not sore, we're like, this is weird. Like, it's time to get back. Like today, we kind of just chilled a little bit, trained a little bit, but we're trying to get back already to it.
Well, I mean, this is something I guess we're not really talking about that kind of flew under the radar to me, that I didn't know as much. But I didn't know you had that ankle injury that kept you out. So are we talking the ankle was hurt back for the East Coast trials or the West Coast trials?
It was the last one that just happened.
So it was the West Coast. So it was February.
Yeah, and
Shit.
It's still sore as fuck too. Like I'll be limping on it and stuff. Like I was thinking about taping it, but then I was like, well, then I don't want him to think like my ankle's all fucked, so maybe I should tape both of them. And then I was like, nah, fuck that. We're probably gonna do hella wrestling. I was like, I don't want to like slip out of a single leg, and then he's gonna have that tape to grip on. So I was like, fuck, we're going off pure adrenaline, and we're just not gonna let that go. But it's coming along. Like it's so much better. Like I can train like without tape, but some days, like if we go run bleachers, like after that my ankle's like fucked. So like
Yeah.
I'm taping it, but it's coming around. Like people foot lock it, and I'm holding out, and it's not that bad anymore. But it's still there, but it'll be gone here soon.
Y'all are weird, dumb people sometimes. Just being like, I mean, they're footlocked me, but I'm like, whatever, bitch. Go ahead, take off my leg. I don't care. Meanwhile, inside, you're just like, oh god, why am I like this? You aren't alone. I know many of folk like this, so you're in good company of those people who, it's what they do, man. I mean, you guys are built a different way when you're highly competitive in that sense. So I'm very, very happy for you to be doing this, dude. Where is home? Where is training for you? Where can people follow you? All that good stuff. Let's do all the plugs right now.
Okay, so like Instagram's Kody Steele _BJJ. You can follow me on there. And then we are stationed out here in Austin, Texas, Brazilian Fight Factory. We're affiliated with Checkmat. So if you guys are ever in the area, for sure come by, come train.
That's good stuff, dude. And I know we mentioned Archetype. Is that one of your main sponsors?
Yes, sir. So he helps me out a lot. Archetype. He's giving me gear, helping me get out to places. Helps me try to get fights. So we're just trying to brand. He's like a new sponsor. So he sponsors me and William, and so we're all trying to help each other out, and it's going good so far. So we're just gonna keep pushing, keep grinding, keep lifting, keep eating. All great.
Hold on. Is that a saying you guys have?
Yeah, we just eat a lot. Everyone will always be training. We'll go and they're like, oh, all the Brazilians are like, what kind of bomba you be taking? What kind of bomba? We're just like, we just eat hella chicken, bro. That's all we eat. We just eat the same shit every day, like chicken, rice. There's no secret to it. We just even on weekends, sometimes we'll be eating the same shit, and then we just lift every day, every single day.
It's a very the reason why I'm laughing is it's a very McConaughey sort of like, hey bro, we just keep lifting, keep eating. That's all I do. It's just that Texas thing.
Well, same age, bro.
I gotta tell you this, man. I'm so happy that William put you in my direction. I really wanted to learn more about you and your background, and it is cool to see a little bit more why you grapple the way you do. I had always figured you to be a kind of a wrestler. It's just kind of like when you do the little, what I call, when I grapple with people, I do that little predator, like info scan that's just like, wrestler, stay away from this. Don't allow him to do this. And it's the way that I'm able to go, fuck, if I don't do this, they're going to murder me. So for you, my little retcon thing is just the sitting there and going, yeah, no, he's a wrestler, really good energy, strong as fuck is what it looks like. But it is cool to hear, that experience of what brought you here and what got you to the table. So we're very excited that you're getting these opportunities. And I have a suspicion there will be more, but I'd like to be certain that there is more. So that's why I wanted to make sure that we got you on an interview today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm hoping something comes up. I figure since Pan Am's is coming up, those are the Pan Am's and Worlds for no-gi. I'll definitely be in those, and hopefully in between those, I'll get linked up with some super fights and get some good shit going.
We're definitely deserving of it. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say goodbye to you, but before we do that, I want to make sure that you guys know we're gonna take a short break. So we're gonna play a clip from Verbal Tap that we had last week that has to pertain to Dana White responding to the Justin Bieber and Tom Cruise thing. And Dana White made an appearance on our show. So we hope that you guys enjoy this clip. And then when we come back from that clip, you guys will be right in the mix of us talking with one Renato Canuto. So we're very excited for that. My thanks to Kody Steele. Thank you so much, man. I look forward to talking to William in a little bit. But for now, we will check this gentleman out a little bit more on his Instagram. Go follow him, Kody Steele _BJJ. It's not a made-up name. It's his real name. I promise you guys that. All right, we'll be right back after these messages.
All right, thank you.
To start off the podcast that proves fighting way easier from outside the cage, no more exemplary point than a fight that Justin Bieber has famously backed away from due to his incredulousness up front. We have on the line favorite of the show, Dana White. Dana, do you want to tell us, it sounds like you're entertaining the idea based on comments. What's this most recent response?
Well, first
first of all, it's a pleasure to be back here. I mean, it's been a while, right, since I've been on this fucking show?
Yeah, you're way calmer now. We've noticed it in the media. We can't tell if you're just getting older or what, but yeah, it's nice to have you back and less yelling.
Well, I mean, let's look at it this way. What are you calling me about? Some fucking pop star wants to fucking fight? Yeah, I want to see that.
Who you got? Early odds. Who are you taking in Vegas? Like you're better.
I'm not taking anybody right now, but I'll take Tom Cruise.
Perfect.
Well, do you know why, though?
Why?
Because he's got all the right moves. And I think it's some particular risky business for Justin Bieber
more
to get
clever
involved.
than he normally is with his Tom Cruise references.
In fact, I was wondering if when he made this challenge, he had his eyes wide shut, like a fucking little Rain Man. You know what I'm saying?
You've now said you'd entertain it. You would talk. Are you serious, or is that just kind of your response now that you've switched over to
I know I'm in the minority report here, but
it's not gonna. This is way more movies.
I just want to throw some lions to lambs. I mean, is there anything wrong with that? Anybody see that one? That's with Meryl fucking Streep. Fuck that, you know?
Why are you saying you'd put two people that don't fight in the cage together?
You know, here's the thing. Once you've gone CM Punk, you never go back. So, I think you guys famously put out some fucking stupid meme, which I actually kind of laughed at. Not gonna lie, it was pretty funny. But I was also pretty pissed at. But I think the caption was, real UFC fan. There's no way the UFC will ever embarrass themselves more than the CM Punk fiasco. Me. Hold my Modelo.
I can get two people under 5'7" in the cage. What else is going on? I mean, I can't believe that you said. I am surprised you said Tom Cruise's name out loud. I guess. Let me just say that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. When you got like a mega movie star, you want to go and ride that SEO wave. So that's really what I'm all about right now.
SEO. This is how you can tell you're with ESPN now. You've used way too many terms. You don't say fuck nearly as much as you used to, here or otherwise.
Give me a few good men, and I'll fucking say some fucking fucks.
Are you on a fuck restriction? Is this a war of the words?
The affirmative.
This is too fun. Join us next time for Tom Cruise movie puns with Dana White. A new segment we were going to launch in 2020, but it might be time. Anything for us before I send you back to ESPN headquarters in Connecticut?
I mean, I just want to let you guys know this match would be without limits. Oh shit, did he fucking narrate that? I don't think that counts.
I don't know if he was in.
He produced it. It counts. Also,
We've got to find the name of a Scientology commercial. I'm sure he's.
I'd hate for there to be some collateral. We'd call it the War of the Worlds.
I am. It's storming out here, so if that's any innuendo for you later, but anything. I thought your secretary said you had breaking news.
Oh,
was that just BS to get us to have you on to talk more about how many movies you know?
Hey, you know what it is? Yeah, because I'm American made. I didn't even see that one. I know it exists.
I didn't either. I saw some of it. I saw parts because it's on HBO, but I was like, CIA, drug runner, got it. Saw some cool parts. Let's say farewell to the one and only Uncle Dana White.
Jack Reacher, I hardly know her. Bye, everybody. Fuck you guys.
That one I like. That one I'm in on.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. I really, really appreciate it. I know the whole community cannot wait for you to get your title shot, which you very much deserve. I know it's a minor setback, but you know as good as anybody else in terms of, if that patience is there, great things still end up happening.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's not a setback whatsoever. Like I said, I'm going to be that much better. It's going to happen. And along that line, I felt so much love and support when the news came out about the title fight from the jiu-jitsu community, all my fans and supporters, from you guys, the whole world of jiu-jitsu out there, getting behind me and believing in me. And so for that, I just want to say thank you. I can't describe what that means to me. And, it's still going to happen, guys. And just stay tuned and, let's make history in 2019.
That sounds like a good idea. Ladies and gents, oh my goodness, I didn't want to show who's on the show already. I mean, I don't want to give away such a great guest because this gentleman right now, how do I put this? I trained once with him. It was not great for me. We'll talk a little bit about that experience, but he's got a high-paced action style. He is known, at least in my opinion, as Mr. Kasai. But he's not just known as that. He's known as a gentleman who's competing gi, no gi. It doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure if there are mats around, this gentleman is going to probably just be rolling and be like a madman. He's also known for a series of flips that I find... well, first of all, I think they're hard to replicate. And second of all, I don't know if he's going to inspire a new generation of people to be doing flips out of nowhere to pass the guard. But this gentleman right here... if you see him in a match, you know you're going to get your money's worth. Ladies and gentlemen, please do me a solid and help me welcome a good friend, Renato Canuto. Sir, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, how are you, man?
Very well, thank you. It's good to see you again. Now, I mentioned we've trained before. Do you have any recollection of that?
I remember. I remember when you came to the gym.
See,
Couldn't test you.
Yeah, oh, you couldn't tap me, but let me put it to you this way. This is how you know you're a high-profile competitor, because all you remember is, I didn't tap him. But if this was an IBJJF situation, you would have scored about 1 billion points. Like, I think it was like a pinball game where you would have been up 100 points. And let me tell you what my recollection is before we go further, because we've never talked about this afterwards.
You wasn't angry, yeah.
It was very funny to me because you were about to go compete at Kasai, and I brought my gi, and we're all training, and you very nicely just asked. You're like, hey man, it's kind of a no-gi thing that I'm competing at. Do you mind going no-gi? And I was like, sure. I don't have much to offer for you to get ready for that, but yeah, I'll go no-gi. And before I knew it, I was like, it was just this effortless passing that I was like, oh, I'm so in awe of it, but I also have to get out of here. And your pressure was great and everything was really good. So it was like seeing a movie and experiencing it in 4D, where I'm like, oh, I've seen it in other matches, but now I have to deal with it. This is terrible. So the one thing I will say, though, is I had a great time, and I know you're just as nice off the mats as you are a beast on them. So I think that was very impressive. So it's very funny to me that you have some recollection of it, because I have a very different one.
No, I remember, because when I saw you message me, I was like, oh, I remember that. I couldn't remember, because I was just like, oh, can't believe it, because I was trying to search for the submission, especially because it was so close to the tournament. Trying to search for the submission, but you say like,
no. So you don't know this, but this is what people refer to when I do this. People refer to that as RAF guard, or half guard, if you would.
RAF guard.
And so they're literally like, I have like people of all belts who are literally like, how do I beat that? And I'm like, that's not my job. My job isn't to tell you how to beat me, but it's very nice of you to say that. Let me say this.
Yeah, I have a very annoying game also too, so I won't blame you. I'm also a guy that, people will get pissed off because I fight a lot from the outside passing. So they can't really get a hold of me a whole lot. So it's, like in different ways, it's a similar way to do not get caught.
You're so nice to try and put you and me in the same Venn diagram, but we couldn't be more different. The one thing I will say that I've never gotten to really tell people as much, which was afterwards, Freeman and all those guys, they know I do professional wrestling kind of like setups and moves. And I showed this one leg attack, and you just stopped me and you go, show that again. And I remember pulling you aside and being like, yo, you could probably actually do this. And it would actually legitimately hurt somebody's back really bad. And you're just like, no, it's okay. I'll do it. It's totally fine. I was like, yo, if Canuto pulls that shit off, I'm going to look like the best fucking person ever. But I couldn't have been happier. So I know we ran into each other at Dunham's, but you've got your own gym over in Vegas, right?
Yes.
So tell me about this gym, because I haven't been there yet. I've seen footage of you training. My good friend Mike Frosto filmed you. I know Mike Wilson is a usual training dummy that you beat up on. Tell me a little bit about your gym, sir.
So the gym, we literally just started. We opened up in February. It took a little longer than we thought with all the having to get all the licenses and stuff done. But since I have been open, it has been a very cool experience in a way that we've been getting a lot of people coming in, people visiting in town and coming to check out the gym, which makes me very happy because I don't really know how the word is getting spread around, like at what point I'm at right now. So it's like, it's cool to have people messaging me and say, hey man, I want to come by and train and this and that. So all of that has been super fun. I've been getting some good training. We're still like doing a lot of cross training. We've done this for a while here in Vegas, and we all kind of help each other out to get good training. So that's still happening. Roberto
Mm-hmm.
Roberto Jimenez, he's still coming by. And
oh God, I don't even want to think what the two of yours like sparring session looks like. Holy shit!
I'm the dummy. Those kids, that kid got too big too fast. And things don't go as well as I wish. Like it was before. Right in the beginning, we started training.
Yeah.
Everybody knew each other, so it was tricky for me, tricky for him. Was good. Everything was good. And then he just, kept eating a lot, lifting a lot, and growing. And, I'm still kind of staying about the same size, and I'm trying to figure out what is his diet. But
I laugh because it's deceptive because he's a kid,
He's
so
a
it's
kid.
like he's a growing kid, but it's
Yes.
like, I look at him when we're doing interviews or when I've chat with him off air, and I'm like, yeah, you're what, like 19, 20, you're a kid. And then you see the way he competes and you're just like, no, he's a man.
Yeah.
That's a dude. That's a man. That's a guy who's going to beat the shit out of you.
Exactly.
So what has been one of the more difficult things about having a gym? Because there is some modesty in being like, hey, I don't know why people are coming to this gym. I mean, it might be these championship belts I'm putting on my shoulders. You're a competitor that people want to know about, and they want to probably, I'm sure, get some great training because I know that they can experience that with you. But like, what has been one of the difficult things, especially as being that kind of high caliber practitioner?
It has been fun. I mean, like right now I've been actually like changing the only hard part for me really, like with the whole gym thing going on and just like different kind of competitions, rule sets, and coming out of the gi, going back to no gi. These are all of this together is a big like, like trying to figure out what I really like more or how to organize my schedule better. I've been liking no gi a little bit more. And before I knew that I could compete no gi better, but I was better, like I was a gi competitor always, and I always liked the gi better. I liked training gi better. But since Worlds last year, I started training no gi again for Kasai and Kasai again, and then like I literally just didn't stop really training no gi because I started having fun and like just the whole idea of like learning more wrestling, learning more submissions, learning different kind of game. Like I'm always changing my game, right? Mm-hmm. I'm always like trying to be creative, always trying to be able to fight a little bit everywhere. So like the no gi, because it was never something that I did like full time back in Brazil, it was something pretty cool as I started getting into it. And I mean, you start Kasai takes care of me in a way that any other event never really did. I mean, in Marianas, whenever you go to Guam, is a gi competition, and they take care of you. They are great, and it's a very similar kind of treatment. But still, Kasai is just like me as a kid growing up and watching Pride in UFC. That's what I can do in there for Jiu-Jitsu still. So I don't have to jump to MMA yet, to have the adrenaline of being in the show, being in the middle of it. So the whole no-gi thing is... for me, has like being very exciting. So going back to the gym now, going back to the gym. To get all of that together, like teaching, training, and getting everyone, everything, the schedule right, that's the only thing that's a little bit harder. What helps is that people do want to train with me. So I have people coming from Team Planet. The other day, last Sunday, we just went to a Team Planet open mat.
Yeah.
It's packed. There are like 50 people coming in and out.
Yeah.
So that was super cool, because like these are straight up no-gi people with no-gi reactions. They're not gi guys trying to do no-gi. You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out how to do a De La Riva without the grips. They actually do give reactions more specific for no-gi, so that was fun. And but just in general, like having my own students and trying to take care of from the white belts to the color belts that came to us, and then having to coach the kids, and our kids getting ready for the tournament, so we're doing a little kids camp. But it's like, for me, it's all fun, because that's what I was involved with since I'm very young, my whole life. Like since growing up, my dad was a jiu-jitsu guy since I was born. He was training jiu-jitsu, so I started training under him. And he had very quickly, he had a giant kids program, because the place he used to train was for free that you could train. It was social project.
Mm-hmm.
So I started teaching very quick, a bunch of kids start coming in just to try. And I mean, it's jiu-jitsu. Like what kid wouldn't like to train jiu-jitsu? You are in Brazil playing soccer and running around all the time and doing kids stuff. Like now you can squeeze someone's head and try to get arm locks and stuff. So that was super cool. And I'm just trying to get the same feeling that I had growing up, trying to pass that to the kids. There's something fun to do. It's something you want to grow up doing, So it's a lot of things going on at the same time. But for me, I think everything is a good thing, I don't want to, it depends. For me, it's always it depends on the perspective that you have to when you look at things, Some people look at it like, oh, that's a lot of work. I'm a competitor. I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be focusing on competition. I did do that a lot, but it has only so much that you can train, and then you're broke, tired, and you have to rest till the next training. Yeah. So by that time that you're resting to the next training, you almost feel lazy. You're like, my life is just waiting for the next session, waiting to go lift, waiting to go to wrestling practice. And doing that, it makes me feel like I'm giving back already, to what has brought to me, what jiu-jitsu brings to me. Now I'm being able to give back, and then at the same time teach my students things that how I see jiu-jitsu, making them understand that, and then coming back and trying to beat me up is pretty fun.
I've got to imagine, though, that when parents know that they take their child to one of your classes, that it's also part gymnastics, just based on your style of grappling. That I'm like, I look at it, dude, I want to make this so clear. There is a great emphasis on art in mixed martial arts. Mm-hmm. And I feel when I watch your movement and your ability to do those flips, mm-hmm. That is you doing your art, and it's amazing, dude, because I know if I did that, I'd just fall flat. And to me, I'm like, the ability to have that precision and make it that exciting for people. I hope there's a huge appreciation from those of us who are fans of the sport, because we know we're going to get something fun when we see you. And I do have a high appreciation for that. So I hope, do you understand that? Do you recognize that? Is that something that even crosses your mind?
No, that makes me happy to hear. How can I say, I do have people, and that's what makes me happy. That's what I mean. It's too much transitions right now. My dream before was always being a world champion, like every other gi person that I know, and growing up doing gi. But nowadays, it's I have fun with what I do, and then when I go back to the gi, I want to win so bad that title, and I stretch myself out, and then I don't have as much fun. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how to have fun every time I compete, and because I know when I have fun, I'm in my mood, I'm doing my thing, and winning or losing, I still gonna be giving my best.
Yeah.
Think too much, and I'm trying to do not get caught on this, on that, trying to stop some kind of move, or trying to be careful, watch out. That's not really my style. I'm not the smart guy. I'm the guy that goes forward and keep coming till I finally get it. And I mean, that's what I mean. The show is there. People are paying because they want to come watch something cool. It's like going out to the movies. You don't want to go and watch a movie that's boring. At least me, I want to go there. The movie's boring. The whole movie, you don't understand what's going on, and then in the end, it doesn't have an end. I'm moving down a happy end, a bad end. It's just it just ends. And then, that's how I feel when I see a boring jiu-jitsu match, and then the guys are not really trying, and just both really, because that's the thing, making money in jiu-jitsu is not normal.
Yeah.
when you put two guys there and say, look, if you win, you double the amount of the money you make. Like, you're just putting so much pressure on those guys that already compete for a while. So some of them have an ego that they don't want to lose, especially in the show. Yeah. Everyone's watching, just two guys in the middle. So all of that pressure, everyone takes differently, you know? And that's what I'm starting to understand now. And when I feel like when I compete and people see that, like when they're competing against me, like, this dude just doesn't care. Like, he's just coming at me. It makes them even more bothered. And that's good for me, you know, as a strategy, in a strategy way. And then whenever I hear people just like, you know, excited and making noise, like, that really brings my spirit like up, and it makes me be able to do more than you won't see me doing all of that in the training. That's for sure. You won't see it.
But how the hell do you make that happen?
Up in the training.
How the hell do you make that happen when it comes time for it? Because I would think so many people drill to have that happen. So you're saying it's like an instinctual thing when you see it happen, you just go, you can't. Is it more so that you see it happen and don't think about it, just do it kind of a thing?
It is a lot of timing and the feeling of it. Like, I've been doing these things for so long, like since a very young age. What always impressed me in jiu-jitsu was flying stuff and tricky stuff. Anything that I would see that was tricky or was a flying thing, I was like, wow, that's so cool, I want to try. And then I would go to the gym, and I had, like, truly, like, I never thought I would really get good at it, but I tried really hard. I would keep falling on my head. I would go to the trainer, my dad was like, don't jump on it. Don't do it. Like, don't do it. Like, you're not, it's not the time yet. I was like, okay. And I started the match, and I, boom, tried to jump a flying armbar. The kid falls straight past the guard already. So, like, I got a lot wrong to start getting right. But that made me build confidence that I can do it. Like, I am able to do it, But just because I saw different guys doing it as I was growing up. So, like, for me as a kid, it was like watching a cartoon, and these were the cool guys, and that's what I wanted to do, Like, I didn't want to be... It wasn't just about winning. For me, it was really like about hitting that flying armbar and catching it, and then that would be super cool. So, like, that's what I wanted to do. So it took me a while. Nowadays it's hard because I'm getting older. I have some beard on my face. So if you see me jumping on people's arm all the time on the train, they won't want to train with me, Or on the outside, it's just going to look like, that's the crazy guy from the gym, the crazy kid that nobody want to train with because he's just going to hurt you, It is not like I hurt people because I'm watching what I'm doing, So it's like the flying stuff nowadays, it got harder for me to do. I feel a little bit bad. I don't want to be the one guy that end up injuring someone because I'm just jumping on it. But Roberto does to me, like Roberto will jump like he thinks he's still like a normal 18-year-old kid.
Screw that kid.
But he's already a freaking Felipe Pena size 18-year-old, That's how he doesn't realize. It's just so much fun. Like, it's fun to train. Like,
I really hope you pull him aside and you're like, listen, kid, I've been there. I know it.
Yeah,
I'm speaking as your elder. It's this flying shit. It's only good for a little while. And then meanwhile, you're the guy that's like, I can't stop myself from doing it. It's just, it's fun. I mean, I'll say this, dude. There was a nice thing that I tell people because when we did get the train, I told people, I was like, I never felt injured or hurt. And yeah, you did kind of some of it, that it's fast and it's fun to watch and it's there. You just feel the pressure of, no, this is really, really solid pressure that you have at all times. So it's like you're monitoring your opponent's body so well that you can do all those things. So it's like it is experiencing it just at a different level. So I never felt like I was going to get hurt. I just felt like, please don't choke me here. That would not be very helpful to me. I think you have a very solid reputation for that. I have to ask this, though, because, I've never gotten to ask about your origin story, and we'll get to that in a second. But MMA, has that been something that you now are still considering, or is that something that you're just kind of like, maybe that's not my focus right now? Because to me, I didn't know that was necessarily part of your thing.
Just 1 second.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I don't want the thing to turn off.
You can.
The cable. Okay.
Give me 1 second. You can go do whatever you need to do. I'll go ahead and cover here, or you can readjust or whatever you need to do. But yeah, ladies and...
My wife went to get it. Let me answer that.
Okay.
Okay. So MMA, it is always there in the back of my head, and that's the biggest reason why. Like here in Vegas, is just like you have MMA everywhere. Everyone fights MMA. I train with a lot of MMA fighters, so it's like the idea is always there. Like the idea keeps coming back. So whenever I start trying to train striking, because my wife, she used to fight, so I used to go and try to train every once in a while more than I'm doing now. But whenever I do it, I just get too excited, and then I feel like I'm going home and I'm not really thinking about burn bolos or guard pass,
Right.
just thinking about hitting and how I would be able to trick them and get to the takedown or get So it's like my mind is already working differently, and I get too excited, and I know it's not. I know if I'm smart, it's not the time yet. But if I'm not too smart, so that's why I try to do not stay too close to it. Because if I stay too close, I get too excited. Then again, I'm like a kid, like, oh, this game is so cool. I just want to play that game. And then I'm going to start training and try to get into fight. I have a couple other goals, man, for jiu-jitsu. It's not a whole lot more. I don't want to be the greatest, the most accomplished, like the one that win these many times. Like, there's only so much that I want to do in jiu-jitsu, and of course I'll still be involved in doing this like probably forever. But especially now with the super fights, if I don't have to compete tournaments, like where I have to fight 6 matches, different people, like if I can do super fights and fight MMA, I feel like that would be a great match, a great match, like both of them together. So maybe soon, man. Soon. I want to win ATC. I want to, I want to win ATC. I want to do a little bit more on Kasai. I want to win the Gi World title. So maybe like after the awards next year, I need to get the Gi World title just to say I have it. I don't. Right now I'm in a transition, like mentally, like I won't blame the rules, I won't blame the world and say like why I'm not this and that, like especially because in my category, like the champion is Leopard, and Leopard does a hell of a great job, like on keeping that title, and he fights really well, and he has been like he's a black belt for like over 12 years or something, so he has been doing really good, very experienced. But at the same time, it's like this last time when I competed, I was working a lot on my mental game, so everything was good. I was feeling good. My head was good. Everything was in place. Confident, thinking right throughout the whole time, not second-guessing myself, not thinking the wrong things, I was ready. I was really ready. As much as I could with all the conditions with having the new gym and this and that, like for me, it's still not an excuse. Like I'm still young. I'm still able to do it. Then I got to the semis and I got scored 1 advantage, and the kid was just super flexible. He kept wrapping with the lapel on his foot like twice after he did 1 advantage, and then I would finally figure out how to take it off, get to his side. He's super flexible again, bring his feet back. And that was like the whole match. I was trying to do something, trying to pass. I wouldn't jump to a submission. I know I wouldn't get it just to try to get an advantage. Like that didn't even pass through my mind. I really wanted to fight. And I knew I could fight him, but it's hard when you're really trying to fight and someone is just really trying to do not get caught. And that got stuck on that thing, and then I got mad for like 10 minutes, like I was a little bit upset. And then right after I was like, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I was like, it is what it is. It happens. And I'll be back and I'm going to do it. But now it's like, even more, it's like, okay, like if you can get, like I'm not trying to trash talk like people's game, but like you can get to the finals in many different ways whenever like whenever like depending of the rule set or depending how you compete, you can get to the finals literally by, for example, putting close guard and attacking cross collar choke the whole time and saying that you're doing something, if you're really good at it. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense in my head that you're better than me or not, So all of that kind of makes me a little bit angry, and even more, I have to stay far from MMA. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. I want to win the Gi World title, the ATC title, just so I have it. just so people know that, like, I can be one of the greatest in grappling, and then come with all of that to MMA. I feel like a lot of people transition to MMA without having all of that yet. And the old school guys did it, and I feel like I want to be similar to that. Like some Demian Maia kind of breathing, and Ronaldo, Souza, Jacare. It's pretty cool. I mean, Cron Gracie for me is a badass dude. Gilbert Burns, like all of these guys, like for me they're badasses. But at the same time, it's like right now grappling is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to let go from the things I believe. And like you said, like in the beginning, like the way you were presenting, like that's really how I see myself. I'm like, I gotta make sure I try these crazy stuff that come up on my head. So the kids that are watching now, in 10 years, make it 10 times better. And then when people see it, they will be like, oh, yeah, but you remember that guy? Like, he's not about me, really, It's literally about them and making the sport more entertaining.
Yeah.
If more people watch me and say, like, oh, that's cool. This is jiu-jitsu. That's what I want to do. And they start trying to, to play that kind of game, they can do it because that's all I did. I just chose something that I like it, and I started that I like it. I started practicing a lot on it. And nowadays I can do it. So I feel like we're just getting started. Like
I also feel, and maybe you can correct me if this is wrong, but you have such momentum right now in grappling that I think it would be hard to step away for MMA.
Yeah.
I just also happen to know one thing, which is, you've got those goals, and they sound within the realm of possibility, especially for somebody your caliber. I mean, this year I saw you and Levi have an amazing match over at Pans. I had a front row seat to that, and I'm just watching it, and I'm like, on any different day, this could go this way, this way, this way. Like, it's cool to see that kind of match, and I have an appreciation for people who do both gi and no gi, because as you mentioned, as someone who likes to make things exciting, sometimes these guys are playing not to lose, and so I'm sure that is frustrating. But it's just a different form of grappling philosophy,
Yeah, no, Levi is a tough kid. I wouldn't consider him like on that, on that group of people.
Yeah.
A very solid game on what he do. He's really good at what he does, and like he's not something crazy or impossible. Like after that, like that's when I was like, okay, I gotta fix some stuff up here. So I did a lot of studying. I did some mental work, and then after that, I was like, okay, I'm not tricking myself again, because all of that. Like I was coming back from no-gi for like 7 months. I never did it before. Like stay only training no-gi for that long, and then in February I fought Marcio in Kasai, and then after that I started training the gi to fight in March Panems. So in my head, I'm trying to lie to myself. I'm like, I just opened the gym. I don't really have a lot of people to train. I have all this work I have to do. I have all these things I could tell myself to why I wouldn't be able to do it. I was like, I really want to fight at Panems. The other year was the only year that I didn't compete. So I was like, I want to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'm doing it. That's it. And then I was having so much fun all the way to the semis. And I fought Kishingo, and I had a great, like I was feeling great. Everything was going good. And then that break between semis and finals that IBJJF makes in Panems and Worlds, that thing kills me, man. Like, it's not the first time I experienced that, and it's like, that was the reason why I wanted to work on my mind, because I feel like when they have that big break, I'm feeling super good because I got to the finals, and I'm a kid, like I'm excited that I'm getting up there, and that's what I love to do, and now I'm proving myself to be right. I'm getting to the finals, everything's good, and then break of 4 or 5 hours, and then my adrenaline just goes. Why? Especially because in that match I was feeling so good, I was so hyped up. I started feeling like a kid, like, oh, that was so cool, I did this, and then wait, started feeling my shoulder sore, my neck, everything started hurting a little bit. I was like, I'm gonna try rest, and then they're already calling my name finally, and I'm like, so it's right before I entered the match, I'm like telling me all these things, like, oh, it's okay, you didn't train that much, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and that goes through every competitor's mind. Like, you gotta understand that. Like, that's why sometimes you see the guy going, he won't give the same, it won't be the same guy. Like, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
Like sometimes just is you don't turn on, you don't know, and you don't know what's going on if you don't really try to study it. Like I really believe that like we don't we have to develop that mental game that is like controlling your own thoughts and being able to focus, which means like do not think about all these things that don't matter, that won't be helpful. Think only of what is helpful and stay focused on those things, and then try to do it till you're finally done.
Yeah.
That's something that for me was hard. I'm always so excited about fighting. Sometimes when I get to the finals, I'm really getting tired, and I'm just like, like it's not the same Renato,
Yeah.
So, but it's always trying to figure out and trying to learn stuff. So I feel like I've learned a lot, and now I have even more skills to bring to the table than I thought. I was like, oh, how did I didn't know all of that before, and it still made it quite good. Like I was like, okay, now I think I can do it really way better. So I hope so.
Well, I mean, again, how old are you right now?
I just turned 23 last week.
You just turned 23?
Yeah, I look old.
No,
Sound old, look old.
Well, okay, you can't carbon date the ears because you've been training since you were a child. But, like, I don't know how old you are, so it's just, to me, all of you are children. So, like, I'm about to turn 37 in a couple days. So for me, it's like, yeah, no, kids. I get it. Sure. The thing that's funny to me, though, is that, you're saying these things at 23. You have a career that is very, very fully ahead of you. So there's so much time that you have. MMA could very well be there. And it sounds to me like you want to go that route of when you say they're your heroes like Damian Maia and Jacare and that sort of thing. There's a reason they are revered to us grapplers when we see them in MMA and we get behind them is because they had these storied careers in jiu-jitsu. And so anytime you see them fight, I can't tell you, like, this is how weird my life is. I was literally doing social media work for a real estate agent, and they put on an event. And this guy was looking at me, and he was filming, and he was doing something else too. And he comes over, and we're making small talk, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you're a UFC guy." I was like, "Yeah, I'm huge. Like, I have a podcast, I do all this sort of stuff." And he's like, "Cool, who's your favorite fighter?" And I go, "Man, off the top of my head, I mean, I love Damian Maia." And this guy, just from that one answer, goes, "Hey, do you know Edwin Najmi?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yes.
And I just go, "Why would you, like, how did you jump from me saying my favorite fighter is Damian?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I know Edwin Najmi." And I'm like, what a weird world. So to me, it's just like, it's so funny that, like, those little tell signs of us saying, like, those are our heroes, we love them, and we have such a small grappling community that, like, yeah, a lot of us all know each other and all that sort of stuff. But for when I hear you say that you want to go that route, I get an idea of, yeah, you've got these goals that you want to do before you kind of give MMA your all, because it would require your all, And then, as we were just saying earlier, Lovato kind of gave us a nice little blueprint of,
that's awesome. It made me super proud too.
It's
just,
like,
jiu-jitsu still there,
You think about it, we said this on the podcast where I was just like, yo, that guy used every bit of his martial arts training to make that fight happen like that. Like, there's a moment you could see the jiu-jitsu, you could see him trying to push that wrestling, you saw him kicking, you saw him trying to strike with Gegard Mousasi, which is not an easy thing to do. So I was just like, that was a guy putting on every bit of his martial arts experience. So to me, that's kind of what I think I would envision is probably where you would like to go.
Yeah, I feel like I adapted really good, like, to different kind of rule sets since I moved here, and I can adapt to rule sets good. My dad was always a ref, so he always taught me how to use the rules in your favor. Mm-hmm. So it's like how to know all the rules before you step in, so you know how to score, how to do not get scored, how to be ahead. Start winning is important, finish the match winning is important. Yep. So it's like, all of that always helped me, and then based on that, like, I can always train for it and get ready for the rules that I'm competing on. So for me, MMA would be something fun to do, to try to figure out. A couple things I always say is, like, I don't say I'm going to be and I'm going to do great. You can never know because I go there, I get punched once on the chin and I drop. Then what?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you never know. So it's like I want for that to do not happen, to prevent that from happening. I want to have like crazy head movement, you know. I want to have fun doing that, and I feel like by this time I have a lot of footwork and moving. I probably can learn that. I don't think how good I would be, but I would practice that a lot before I jump in. A lot of head movement, a lot of body and head shots like mixed in, so they don't really know. I feel like who's doing this really well. I saw in the last fight was Gary. Gary was mixing up really good. He keeps doing little ting, 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 and then the guy don't see it coming anymore. Boom, shot. I was like, that's perfect.
Yep.
It can be as simple as that, you know. Couple wrestler guys do this very good. So like I always like watching the technique inside the fight, right? Like I'm not really watching anymore as like, oh damn, like he's punching him so hard. It's like, how did he get that? How did he hit that hand coming? How did he, you know? So like I like the spectrum of it. Like, and I feel like you have so many more options in MMA, like to explore things that I don't do yet, and that just sounds super fun for me. You know, like as like a jiu-jitsu gamer, like I feel like I would love to play that game, like, and I do also train with a lot of MMA guys. So what you always hear, like at least when I first came here, I was young, nobody knew me, so I'm doing good with these guys, and they're like, yeah, man, but you know, if you punch, everything would be different, you know, because if you can punch, blah, 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 MMA, everything is different. And I'm like, yeah, everything's different, but if I still take you down and I'm on top punching you, that's different for better for me. I get it, you know, I get it from the bottom. Like I'm not planning to pull guard on you, first of all. Not planning to pull guard in MMA. I was like, but if I come on top and I'm punching you and I'm using my jiu-jitsu, that would help me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's like that would open up a little bit more submissions, I think. And I feel like my jiu-jitsu does match with something that would be able to transfer for MMA. I feel like some guys, they do the transition, but they were always really good in half guard.
Yeah.
Butterfly guard, half guard, or some stuff. There's like it's just tough to do it with some guys, you know, like some like especially wrestlers. I will train some wrestlers. I'm trying to play guard with them, and they're literally just like hugging your hips and staying low and not trying to let you move. Really, you know, they don't want to get caught or anything. They don't. So it does have that anti-jiu-jitsu game. Like people know about these things nowadays. They have very good takedown defenses. So it's like you cannot just rely on that. And then we go back to like crown racing. Like you can also bring them to the wall, be really good at wall wrestling, practice that, spin to the back. Like that was clean, smooth, made the work, cross the leg. Like pure jiu-jitsu, you know? Like jiu-jitsu itself works. And that's what I feel like people forget. Or they get too crazy about I have to be an MMA fighter, I have to strike. Or they think that they can only do jiu-jitsu. No, you have to do everything, and you have to change a little bit as time goes. Like you gotta always figure out because people are figuring you out.
Yeah.
I'm always on the internet. I'm gonna fight someone. I'm watching them. I'm like, oh, let me see who's this guy's good at this. And I go back and forth. I make my notes on my head. Go to the gym. Tell the guys I practice for that. Mike helping me a lot. I'm seeing jiu-jitsu that way too. Mike is freaking crazy. Jiu-jitsu genius computer, you know. You study everything and all the percentages that you have written him. And by the end of the camp, there's like you take a year to compete at the Worlds, and then when you go there, he knows every single move that you're gonna do, anything that you're good at. He's trained for every single thing, and he's ready. So training for super fights is fun for me, and I feel like I can perform better because I'm training for one guy. I get much better when I'm training for one guy because I'm trying to get pass through that specific game. I'm not training with, you know, someone that do the ref guard, and I'm in the next round. I'm doing.
Well, hold on.
There you go. That does the what you call the rubber guard, and next guy is a wrestler guy. So you're just all over the place trying to figure out what to do to beat him. Like when I train for a specific guy, everyone's doing the same game. For Wagner Rocha, people are slapping me, walking forward, me in my face, you know, like pushing me. And I was so mad by the end of the camp. I just wanted to get it over, you know. But that made me so much stronger mentally.
Yeah.
You know, like after the end of that camp, I was like, wow, that's awesome. Like I feel good. So I would like to train eventually for MMA and figure out how to fight a very good striker and how to be able to shut them down.
It's so hard for me because for me, in my ideal version, grappling, I hope, becomes so much bigger that the guys who purely want to do grappling can stay in grappling and make a career out of that. And I know that there are some guys who want to go into MMA because it is a little bit more lucrative, but it sounds like yours is from a pure place of just testing yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. I don't have that crazy money interest on MMA. And I don't feel like if you're jumping into MMA because of the money, you're not being that smart. Not nowadays, 2019 or 2020, and MMA is there for like about 30 years now, and people are really good at it, and it's just in another level. Like, you cannot just go by with good jiu-jitsu. Yeah. You can make kind of far, make some money, but you're gonna get punched. You're gonna, you might get injured bad. Like in jiu-jitsu can happen, but it's like, for me, like that. Like I said, right now I'm doing something that I believe in, that is like fighting over titles. Like, it's choosing to fight over choosing to win. So it's like, if I get out the way, like, I know whenever, like, you always have people with similar mindsets, and if you get something undone, someone will come and do it. If I don't do it, someone will do it. But like, for me, it's like, if I can help jiu-jitsu to grow even more, and that we don't have that problem anymore, that people have to get out of grappling to go for MMA, it's great, So that's why I'm picking. That's why I'm picking so much things at once at a young age. Like, it wasn't my plan, but like, okay, I want to have. I always wanted to be part of a competition team, all about competition and being able to, to just train, have my tournaments paid, and be able to pay my bills and at least pay everything, like my food, sleep, everything good, so I can train. That's basically, like, that's all I wanted as a young, young coming here and try to figure things out when I first came,
So let me ask this. I do want to kind of get into your origin story a little bit, because normally when I've interviewed people, if I've done the origin story, I've done it, but I've never done it with you. So I want to know, you obviously your dad was the pivotal force behind you getting into jiu-jitsu. Was there ever a scenario where you weren't going to train jiu-jitsu? Because it's having a parent that's so good at it, it just seems like a foregone conclusion.
It was fun. I mean, having my dad teaching, but like, well, sorry, what is the question again?
So the question is for me, because let's put it this way.
Yeah.
When your dad teaches something,
yes,
and you're growing up,
yes,
that may not be something you're going to align with. If my dad was teaching me jiu-jitsu, I'd be like, whatever, Dad. Like, my dad does golf. My dad loves golf, and I'm like, don't want it. Love it, Dad. Go enjoy yourself. It's just not my jam. So sometimes it does happen with families. So where did jiu-jitsu and the love of jiu-jitsu happen for you?
I think I started off. I always liked like action cartoons. I always liked movies. They always like Kickboxer and all those kind of style of Van Damme movies. Like, that was always with me. Like growing up. As I started training, I always tried to train something. My dad put me on karate. I hated karate because in about a month I figured that I would never punch someone, really. Like, I was waiting so badly for that. And then I would wait for the end of the class, go outside, and then start trying to, like me and the kids playing, start punching each other. And then, we get scoldings, and my mom would take me out. And then back again, I try again for like about a month, and I'm like, Mom, I'm done with it. Like, I don't like it, it's not what I want. And after that, I started training judo as I got a little older. We didn't have jiu-jitsu till my dad finally did it. Like, for kids, we didn't have. Like, it was just adults. So I would go watch. I would do the warm-up. I would do front rows. I would do back rows. I would do all the knew there was a rear naked choke at a young age. But, I was very young still, though. I was like 9 or 10 years old when my dad started teaching. And then I got out of judo. I was doing 1 year of judo. And then got out of judo, went to jiu-jitsu. It was the best thing ever. I hated judo. This one girl would throw me every day on my head. And I would get like bad headaches going home because, like, when you're a kid, you don't have strong neck to keep the chin. Now I know even more because I'm trying to teach the kids guard, and they're always laying down. And you're like, come on, man, get the neck up. But it's harder than it seems. Like, these kids, their heads are already growing and their body's still very small. Like, they cannot hold their head up. So I would just get thrown. My head would hurt a lot. Jiu-jitsu was fun. I was already on the ground. I knew a little bit more than everyone that was coming in. I was helping my dad, and I always had that thing, like me and my dad, it was always a relationship of like, I was the middle child, but I always like trying to impress him, you know. That was like, I'm gonna make, you know, like my dad would be proud of me because I can surf. I'm gonna be able to skateboard, like, and I would be trying really hard till I got it, so he could tell, yeah, no, that's my kid. This and that. I like it. That. I feel like that's what made me start off like trying to impress him that I could do it, and then going to compete. Going to compete made a huge difference on me because competition is like literally like jiu-jitsu is awesome. It's like, okay, you're not gonna really punch each other, you're not gonna, but you're nervous, both are nervous, you're looking at everyone around. As a kid, you're like asking all the kids, like, hey, how old are you? Like, what's your weight? Like, I think we might fight. And like all that tension, and then literally the refs just say combate, and the kids just go. Like, you know, you never see, you know, like that really happening in adults or masters. How it happened when they're like very young. They just go. They just want to kill each other. So it's fun, you know. Like that thing was really fun for me, and I think I only felt like I want to do it, and I was still doing it. And I was like about 15, getting into juvenile, and then at juvenile, like you already have. I was really close to like, I was a blue belt, so like now a purple belt. We had Meows fighting. We had all these guys that were already big names in the color belts. Still, Keenan Cornelius and people like that. So I was like, okay, maybe I want to do it for real. So I had to start training more, trying to give, you know, like more working harder. At times it was hard. Like when I moved here to US, for example, is because I wasn't getting great results as I wished. And my relationship with my dad was getting a little bit more, you know, just we're getting into a lot on little stuff. Because I'm growing up, I didn't want to really go to college, for example. Because in Brazil, what they say is like you can't do both, right? And then I come here and I see Mikey doing law school and winning 3 retired black belts. You know, BS. Like you can do it. You just don't. You know.
He's an anomaly. That kid is something else.
That's what I'm saying. Like some people just different. But like I wanted to just train jiu-jitsu and I wanted to do it good and I was trying and I was still like almost getting there. Like I said, like I always had that style of trying to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't lose. Like in competitions, it's not about fighting; it's about winning. Like everyone is there about winning. They're trying to do whatever they can to win, to get the W and post on Instagram the podium. Like you don't have to post a highlight. Like you probably did. Some people they don't do anything cool and they still win. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and for me, it was always about not about the highlight, but always about the fighting. You know, like I wanted to have fun. So I wasn't getting too good. My dad was starting to get a little bit upset, like, hey man, you gotta do more. You know, you're not really working hard. And I was, in a way, like I feel like I was doing as much as I could in my city, in the conditions I had. Like I was doing as much as I could. And then I finally felt like, okay, I gotta try something different. I gotta go away. I want to just focus on training, forget about like, problems with family, girlfriend, all of this, and just do jiu-jitsu. I wanted to come here for 3 months only. That was my plan. I was gonna stay for 3
And when was this? What year was this?
2016 is when I finally moved here. Okay. So it's about 2 years or something ago. Then I worked in the end of the year, got a brown belt. I didn't really want to train. I felt like not training. It was the first time ever I felt like not training. I was like, you know what? I'm getting to the brown belt. I still didn't win any major title. Maybe it's not for me. And I was just pissed off with everything going on. My head was, you know, like, what do you do? Go work, go study. Is that really for you? And then after a month trying to work and saving money, I was like, okay, I cannot do anything else. Like, that's what I love to do, and I'd rather do that and be shitty at that than do anything else. I hate my life, you know. So I finally decided, saved money, paid my ticket to come here, saved some money to come, and then that money went away really fast. But thankfully, I met Raquel as I came to Vegas, so we hit it off. We started hanging out. And literally like drilling every day and like she started fixing my diet. We started talking about, so it was nice, you know, fell in love. And then we were talking about all of these great plans. So like everything more real. I saw everything happening, you know. I was like, okay, now it's happening. Now I'm feeling it. And then I went there, and my faith that I was going to do it was just very strong. And that's when I won the first time the words. I won the brown belt words, and then after I won the no-gi words. But like if I never had tried to come here, I probably wouldn't have happened like that. Like I had to be on my own zone and figuring my things out and know how to pay my bills, figuring out how to survive, figuring out how to live life without my parents, without, everyone saying do this, do that, do this, do that, and trying to figure out my own thing. So it was good, It is a lot of like things going on at the same time, and I did like grew older faster than I wished. I wished I was a little bit more chill and young still, but I mean that's what is bringing me to where I'm at right now. So I don't have to keep waiting, to get where I want to get. So it has good and bad about it, but it's mostly good.
Again, that's a pretty cool thing, and if you're really doing the time and thinking about it, I mean, to go from, as you say, 2016 and really, really, really struggling at some point in that time to now in 2019, you have your own gym. Like that's a pretty impressive story, and it's one that shows both resolve and one of you finding. I almost feel like your resurgence and your lift and ascent as this grappling feature, if you would, happening the same time you're opening a gym. I mean, it just seems like it's all coming together so nicely, and obviously the personal side as well. Having a great family and being able to do that. That's an impressive thing. So I hope that you also understand how cool that is as well. Do you have a better relationship now that you have some space with your dad? Does that kind of give you there? And how did that come about?
Yeah, we never really fought. It was just like I was feeling pressured because I wasn't getting the results, and then we are both trying to figure out, because there was literally like a team. Like my dad was the soccer dad, he was always there on the outside screaming. He's living there with me, and if I lose, he lost too. He said, he's feeling, and then he's like, come on, man, you gotta do more, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, and then like little things was happening, but I just felt like I needed a little bit of space and tried to figure it out on my own, like how to get where I wanted to get. And then nowadays he comes here. He came here this last time, so it was awesome. I just moved to this new place. It's still not our place, but we're living here. We painted. We're like, we opened the gym. So he came. He didn't have seen the gym yet. He didn't have seen my house. He didn't have seen my life for a while, So he came and he was just like, wow, like the whole time, like wow. Like he was like, okay, that's good, It's like you're doing. I'm proud, Like I'm proud of everything you're doing. Because now I saw from close, it was like I wouldn't be able to do it in Brazil, but like being in Brazil, I don't feel like it's an excuse kind of like that you can use, like no, because here is a poor country. It is harder and everything, but it's. At the same time, I had no special, special treatment from anything. I came here and I still had no special treatment. I had to figure things out like everyone do. But it's like, I am very lucky, I'm lucky to have opportunities. I'm lucky to have had people watch me and believe in the same thing I believe, Look at me and be like, oh, that guy's pretty cool. Let's bring him in, Nowadays is much better. My dad come here. He liked this last time he came to help me for the camp, and that was awesome. He was super happy the whole time he was here. And we never had that that hugging kind of thing, like hey dad, I love you, daddy, and stuff. But we were always like we were like my dad's like my older brother nowadays. We grew that way. Like he was always my coach, and we in Brazil the way things are, it's like you coach, right after we all go hang out, go eat açaí, you go it has all that lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So everyone knows each other, everyone talk a lot. So I grew as a friend of my dad, and he misses that a lot, and I know that, But now he understands okay, I don't get to live with him as much, I don't get to experience all of this as much as I wished, but everything's going great for him, and that's what I wanted for my kid, most of all. And then he was he was super happy when he came. So that made me super happy, you know, to see. Like, I was like, okay, that's cool. I thought I was going to be the fuck up kid. I really thought that, you know. I was like, I'm going to screw up everything. Because when I was young, I like the same way I like to do crazy stuff on the mats. I was a little bit of the crazy kid. I wasn't the best in school. I was the one, like, you know, like I didn't get into a lot of problems. Never got into fights, but I was a troublemaker too, you know, at the same time. So it's like it could have went both ways. So like I'm very thankful that jiu-jitsu was there always, you know. So I never really like. Nowadays I get to experience life in a different way that I probably would do if I had stepped out. I would never know about all of these, and I would be living the reality that people say you have to live because you're Brazilian and things are shit.
Here's the other thing that maybe we aren't discussing, but it's pretty interesting in the sense that, like, you know, you say you and your dad may not be the hugging type, and I think it's great that you guys are at a much better place. And I think part of that is you know, I hug my dad. He's not a jiu-jitsu guy. So there's definitely a lot of like that. You know, you hug another jiu-jitsu guy, you're always like, no, hold on, no, I'm going to get these double unders. Don't come near me like that, Dad. I can only imagine that could be something of double checking on that consistently so that you never quite let them. You're like, no, I got one underhook here. It's fine, Dad. Don't make a move.
I went to hug him in the head. Like, that's what I mean. Like, afterwards, he was leaving because he was leaving from LA, and I had to drive back to Vegas. So we go to hug, like, in front of the pyramid, and then go like, hey, Dad, you know, like, I love you. I said, you know, I tried to see if he would, like, break out. He's just like, you know, because he's sad. He doesn't want to say, but he's sad he's going to leave, and we're not going to get to hang out as much. And he just kind of like, you know, just like two big zaps on my back, like, yeah. We will see you. And I wanted to die laughing. I was like, I love it, you know. But like, he came here, he loved like watching my dog. Like, he was giving every kind of food that he could, that he was eating. He was sharing with the dog. So that was super funny because they were all funny.
I gotta say this, dude. I remember at 24, it was weird because I remembered coming home from college on times, and I remembered our dynamic was in flux. You know, like with my own dad, it was just always like, you know, I come home from college to visit, and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, you have a curfew," and I'd be like, "No, I don't. I'm old. I'm coming to visit you. I love you all, but I'll be home when I'm going to be home." And little things like that you're just kind of like, you're finding as you get older, your relationship will have flux and changes. But it sounds like right now, you know, there's no better thing than a parent witnessing their son, their daughter doing well for themselves and providing for themselves and secure. So I know for sure that even though he's, you know, when he's doing this, he's definitely being like, "No, I love you too, kid."
Yeah. Yeah. No, he meant, and then I can tell, like, I can see because he's like, he doesn't want to talk much because he doesn't want to get emotional. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, he's not that tough. It's just because he cannot, you know, like, loosen up. He doesn't want me to see him that way. He's my dad. He's a black belt. He's my coach. Yeah. He's, you know, he's like.
Oh, hey, listen, dude. You have the Brazilian side. I have the Mexican side. And the Mexican side is very much like, "Good job, mijo." Like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? It's those old school Mexicans. Like my grandpa, you know, as he got older, he definitely became very much like mijo. But before, it would be like, "What's up, mijo?" Yeah, no, that's good. Reading their newspaper, like, yeah, that's nice. So for me, I totally understand that.
That's the transition right now. He's starting to send me like these little videos of like the grandpa seeing the baby and crying and stuff like that. He wants us to have kids already, you know. And he's like, so he has an excuse to come here and stay long. He's like, "Oh, when you have a kid, I'm there. I'll be there." So I love that. You know, he wants to be a part.
He's looking around at the room being like, "Yeah, no, I could live here. Yeah, this is great."
That's it.
This is great. You know, this could be Grandpa's room right over here. No big deal.
Yeah. I think he would be happy doing that. Like, it was cool. Like having him here now. This last time was super cool.
So let
because
me.
it gave us like that space and that respect of like, okay, that's not just my child. This is a grown up man, and then he's doing all right. And I'm proud.
There's nothing cooler when the parents start treating you like an adult, you know, and that's when you feel that when you say he's kind of like your brother. There's definitely that vibe of like, all right, he's grown, he takes care of it, he's good. So let me ask this, dude. I want to transition to what you've got coming up because I call you Mr. Kasai because you know those two belts look pretty nice, and I know you like that pace and that speed. I think that is why it's hard to go back to Worlds. Because when you go back to the IBJJF side and they have those breaks, at Kasai, you don't get much of a break. You have to perform, come back, tournament, go back and forth. So I'm pretty sure you've just become accustomed to that. You've got a big super fight coming up. Tell us a little bit about that in July 6th, correct? Or
the
4th?
The 4th of July. Yeah. So it's going to be on a Thursday, which is kind of July 6th would be Saturday.
Yeah.
It's fun, man. It's fun. I'm happy to be back on training Nogi. I actually wish I had just stayed training Nogi, really. And before Worlds, I was really thinking about it. I was like, oh my God, I wish I was just doing Nogi right now because it's ATC. I want to win ATC so bad. Like now I have ATC for me. It feels bigger than Worlds. Like and before I never really had much thoughts about ATC. But like since I've been like in the grappling and more involved in Nogi grappling, like okay, that's really fun. If we're gonna go to the ground and keep fighting on the ground, that's what I'm talking about. You know, slap each other a lot and go hard. So it's fun, man. I'm fighting a very tough opponent. You know, like someone who has good technique, who has been around for a while too. We grew up like. We fought before purple brown. We know each other. He grew a little bigger. I wish I was that big too. It's cool, like, cause it's cool to see because not much people from our generation really still doing it good, you know. And he is someone that fights, like, you know. He's like, you talk to him, hey, what up, man? But he's like a tough dude, you know. So it's literally who he is. He's just a tough dude, and I respect that. You know, he's not really like a trash talker. He's not really anything. I felt like everyone was expecting him to call me out as soon as he won the last fight at Kasai, you know, and he was just like, nah, whatever. Like it's about me. I won. Like that's how I would feel too. You know, I won. Yeah. That's cool. Like I'm cool. I don't have to play this whole thing. And then in the back, I think someone called his attention, like, hey, we need to make that fight happen, so you gotta say something. So I think that's kind of how it went. I don't know really. But then he was like, yeah, man, I would like to fight Canuto, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't even sound like, you know, something like disrespectful. I was like, it's cool. Like, you say you want to fight me. I'm not disrespecting. I'm not, you know, I'm glad. That's cool. Like, yeah. And I feel like he's right. And that's what I feel like about Kasai is a lot of people were in ACB. A lot of people were in other events fighting. And I got to the first Kasai, right? And then at the first Kasai, I had to fight AJ, Gary Tonin, Masha Kira, and Celso Vinicius in the final. Mm-hmm. So it was like, for me to get that one belt, it was tough. You know, I fought a bunch of no-gi, you know, ATC veterans, like good guys. And then I've been every Kasai besides the last one. Mm-hmm. You know, and I really wanted to be there. But I was like, it's just not smart. I'm like, I have to train gi if I want to win the Worlds. Like, no, but I want to fight Kasai so bad. And they still brought me to come and watch, which was good because I had broken this one finger like right before it. And I was like, it was cool. It was cool.
But is that torture for somebody like you to like sit there and be like, okay, cool, just watch. And then just have you being like, I want to get up there right now.
I would have feel, you know, like so it was fun, but it wasn't like I wanted to experience that too. Like I was like, it's probably super cool to sit down and watch like people going at it, falling over the stage. And then we sat down in nice seats, like front row. We were both like hanging out, like watching. So it was cool because it wasn't stressful. But then by the time we got the match like between Edwin and Dante, I was like a little bit like, I wish I was fighting. Damn, like, and I knew I would, you know.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in a bad way. It wasn't in a selfish way. It was just like, we were like, oh, damn, like that's jiu-jitsu. Like, let's go. Like, that's cool.
Well, all of you guys are all nerds for this, where you're just kind of like, you know, there's a competitiveness inside of you guys,
Yeah.
and if you put on an event and you get that crowd and you get those lights, you know, there are gonna be those guys who want to be on that stage and perform and be like, man, I just want to compete. Like,
Yes.
I don't care who, what, where, when, why. It'd be awesome if it's somebody who's going to challenge me, but it's just the essence of competing there.
The fun of competing, I mean, like making money is nice, is very cool because we don't make a whole lot of money out of competing, Like in jiu-jitsu, you compete to make centers. That's really how it goes. Like you're a great competitor, so you can make centers and make a living out of it. Or you have a gym. And for me, it's like I'm not crazy about like looking for people and trying to get seminars and stuff. And I rather compete. I like competing. I have fun training and doing all of that. And it is always like awesome to be like now. Like before, when I first came here, the trouble I had was to get opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I would complain. I'm like, okay, what do I do? Like I want brown belt awards. I want no-gi awards. I won the time I was proving bronze. Like I beat Bill Cooper as a brown belt. Like, and I was like, like come on, man. Like how do I get exposure? How do I get there? How do I get paid from sponsors? Like I was trying to figure out all of that because I was trying to make a living, Yep. And after that, things started happening. Like slowly started happening, and yeah, I mean, like aside some like to those people, I'm so glad for them because they really changed my life from being an average, like, like a grappler, black belt grappler trying to make it to being able to make a living out of it, Why? Not because like they don't pay all my bills, but like they help me. It helps a lot, like to get ready, stay like 2 months training, focus, doing a camp, and then go there and have a reward if you do it, And I, like I said, like it is a show. The way I see a show, it is fighting. If people are there to see jiu-jitsu, we better give them good jiu-jitsu. Like I'm not gonna give them close guard and stalling because there you can go to the gym and see people do it every day. Like I want to show something that people are not waiting to see. And not even like about the people nowadays. Like not even much about like who is watching. It's more about like a personal goal. Like I want to be the hero I wanted to be as a kid. I want to be the samurai kind of thing. Like I'm in a transition right now, trying to know what I represent, what I want to represent as a competitor. If people want to look at me as, as someone to be followed, or someone is, oh, that dude's just stupid, just stupid, crazy stuff. He's so dumb. Yeah,
I don't know how many of those people exist because I just know that. Yeah. I'll tell you this much, dude. I just know that as somebody who watches a lot of grappling, a lot of different events, has to cover it, sometimes we'll sit there and go, okay, I'm going to have to talk about this. I'm going to have to, on their show, I'm going to have to talk about this match, and nothing happened. And then when you get home and you go, people are like, hey, how was that match? And you're like, what happened? Yeah, it was okay, they grappled. And people will be like, oh, cool, do you like it? I like those guys. They're great. So, it's always trying to find something about it. But when you get out there and you perform and you're creating fireworks, it is fun. So let me ask this. Okay, so you got Kasai. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited for that. Do you have anything else happening after Kasai, or does it become shut down? Let's get ready for ADCC.
I am doing that this time. I'm trying to be smart. Like I said, like I have a lot of people that I watch from close that do great things, and I try to learn from those people. Before I would compete every weekend, like the Kasai that I lost, like the one Kasai that I lost, I had 3 tournaments the next week. Literally in 2 weeks, I had 4 competitions. It would be one no-gi fight, and the rest was all the gi. Was in Marianas, Abu Dhabi, and in Abu Dhabi had 2. And I just like trained all crazily, tried to figure out everything together, and I didn't perform super well in all of them. Like I still did good, but it still didn't, do great. And I feel like right now, representing being a champion and being who I want to be, I want to give great performances. I don't want to give just half-ass performances. Like I want to be someone that, like I want to be a professional. Be more professional about it. Like I have people messaging me. People wanted me to compete right now in June. And they called me the other day. They wanted me to compete against Edwin. And I literally just forgot. I looked at it and I was like, oh, damn, like I'm going to be in Brazil. I was like, okay, I'm going to mail them after. I'm going to explain better why. But like I wish I could be a part. But I was like, okay, it's too close to the Worlds. It's right after. I wanted to go see my family. And I was supposed to go, but then Kasai came up. So I was like, I'd rather do the July one because they have another one in August. So if I wanted to do the August one, September is already ATC. Yep. And I know I can do it. Again, I'm young, this and that, but my body do take a lot of damage, and I do train as hard as I can when I'm getting ready, And for ADCC, you have to be conditioned to the limit. Like you gotta be ready to do a 50-minute match, even if it may happen. Yeah. So I don't want to be getting all these fights, even though I like fighting, I like money, I like the experience. I still want to give the best I can to ATC.
Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm probably just going to make sure I'm going to hand your phone over to your wife and be like, do not let this man take a super fight. I know he's going to want to, and I know they're going to dangle like, ooh, how about this opponent? And you're going to be like, ooh, my body could handle that. I'd be fine.
I was supposed to fight in August, I think. I remember talking to the guy, I think it was the Grapple Fest. Is that in?
It's in London, I think.
London, yeah,
or England, somewhere in there, yeah.
United Kingdom, right? But I think they had talked to me. I think. I'm not sure. I hope I'm not saying the wrong people. Figure 4 promotions, right?
I'm not as familiar with that, but I think this is familiar. But yes.
Someone had talked to me earlier in this year, if I slightly remember, but they mentioned about okay, maybe we'll have another one in August, so that would be cool. And I was like, yeah. But then ATC came along, and I'm like, should I not? So I'm trying to stay, I want to be professional about it, like I said. I've been watching a lot of documentaries on ATC, so that has been a lot of fun, for me. Like, it has been cool. I've been watching, again, I've watched it before a couple of times, the Riviera one, so the other day I just watched it again. It's awesome, like the whole story that is behind it. Yeah. And then I watched André Galvão's one, getting ready in 2015, how he trained, the whole thing. Like that dude is just a machine of, like his mentality is really good, like for competition wise. Yeah. The morning of ADCC, they're recording him on the hotel, on the lounge, like right in front of his dorm room. He's rolling with this guy, like doing his entrances. Like in the day before, he wait the rules meeting to be done. And he's feeding the match and rolling and doing stuff. So I'm like, that's a focused man. Like you can say whatever it is, but like him as a competitor, he's a samurai. He does what he can do. He trains really hard. He does everything he got to do, Yeah. And all of those guys. I was watching Cobrinha with AJ. Yeah. All of these things are getting me like, wow, this is so fun.
Well, that's pretty dope because now you're putting that as your playlist. You're like, oh man, now like it's like a kid. It's your Christmas. Yeah. Is what's happening is you got 2 months that you got to wait or 3 months until you get to unwrap your presents. So it's one of those things that we're very excited to see you compete. Dude, I've loved talking with you. It's been amazing. It's so great to actually have a conversation with you where you're not beating me up. So that's a very helpful thing to me. Can we plug any of your sponsors? Can we give a shout out to the people, your training partners, your gym, just so that way we go ahead and take care of the people who take care of you, sir?
Thank you so much. I want to give a shout out to Venom, who gave me the opportunity to be a professional athlete that I am today, and they really like by opening a gym for me, giving me the paying me, doing everything that a competitor wish he could have. And Kettlebell Kitchen, who takes care of my meals, my diet, who sponsors me. ATH Organics, who is my supplement sponsors. Everything is organic. Everything is thoughtful for athletes that don't want to take just whatever shitty, supplements out in the store. They really use everything natural, and everything is very thoughtful. And I really appreciate their support. Um, the Iron Bar Soap Company give us safe from staffs and make us look very fresh. And by last Kekua Collective, there's like a super nice crew of people. They're doing like a big impact around the world on like their mindset and their spirit is just different. So if you guys never got to know, if you're ever in Hawaii, now they just opened a store in Japan and they're coming to California. So like they're spreading around. They're like a surf kind of style brand, but at the same time they're jiu-jitsu and travel and all about mindful living and
all things jiu-jitsu guys hate, obviously.
Everything being but like very 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 aloha positive vibes and I'm glad that I have the support of all these people behind me. So
that's good stuff, dude. I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show today. It is a pleasure getting to talk with you, sir. I will probably actually be out in Vegas in a couple of weeks, nice. So I will drop you a note, and I will hopefully try to have you. We have a little fun game because I feel like if you remember one thing about me, I don't want that to be the thing you remember forever, even though it's a nice moniker. We have a fun game where we give guys a submission, a card that I don't get to see. And then you have X many minutes, like 2 minutes to get that submission on me. And I feel like you might be a good candidate to play that game. So I think when I come out there, I'll arrange a time and I'll stop by the gym.
Now, so we gotta come like right now because everything is finally fitting. Like it's always weird coming out from gi to no gi. So I'm finally my game is going back again, shaping more like a ball other than a square.
I'm not pleased about that sentence. That sounds way scarier. But I got to tell you, man, it's a pleasure chatting with you.
I guess you bothered me.
No, you're a beast and a gentleman, and I look forward to seeing you over at Kasai and then even later at ADCC. Ladies and gentlemen, follow this man. Give him your love. I cannot thank you enough. And stick around. We're going to be right back with William Tackett, the winner of the Midwest Finishers Sub-Only Tournament, right after these commercial breaks where we see Lovato telling us how he was able to win. We see some highlight footage from a couple seminars around here in California. My thanks again. And thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. Stay with William in good hands. See you later.
Thank you so much for coming on, man. I really, really appreciate it. I know the whole community cannot wait for you to get your title shot, which you very much deserve. I know it's a minor setback, but you know as good as anybody else in terms of, if that patience is there, great things still end up happening.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's not a setback whatsoever. Like I said, I'm going to be that much better. It's going to happen. And along that line, I felt so much love and support when the news came out about the title fight from the jiu-jitsu community, all my fans and supporters, from you guys, the whole world of jiu-jitsu out there getting behind me and believing in me. And so for that, I just want to say thank you. I can't describe what that means to me. And, it's still going to happen, guys. And just stay tuned and, let's make history in 2019.
That sounds like a good idea. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm very excited. You already see the gentleman who I'm going to be talking to right now on the screen, and I want to say big congratulations to this man because I described him as a brick when I saw him competing. This is just a dude who I was trying to figure out. Like, normally when you watch grappling, you kind of go like, oh, how would I roll with this guy? What would I do? And I was like, I don't really know. Seems like a lot of dead ends all around. But this young man who's smiling has good reason to. He won the Midwest Finishers. Is this middleweight is what they were calling it?
I think they're calling it welterweight.
Did they call it welterweight? Because I was like, I don't know if they're... I know it's 170 is what they're referring to it as. But ladies and gentlemen, William Tackett. William, congratulations to you, young man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for having me on the show. It's a real honor.
It's not that much of an honor, but here's the thing. I'm stoked to talk with you because those Midwest Finishers guys are putting together a nice series of tournaments. I know it's got to be a great feeling to get a call from them to be on the show. So how did that process go? How did you get on the show?
So the first time I was for a super fight because they asked Andrew to be on the tournament because he was someone who was a replacement. Someone got injured, so he was filling in. And I just asked if I could get a super fight, so I would be going to Chicago just to coach. Mm-hmm. So I got the super fight, and I ended up winning that super fight. I believe that was back in April or March. And then they invited me back to do the 170. They said they had a 170 coming up. So it was really cool. It was a really nice tournament. They're pretty professional, really nice guys. It was a really cool experience.
So let me ask this because it is intriguing to have your brother as a fellow competitor. So when that is happening, do you enjoy competing on the same card with your brother? Is it stressful? Because I know what it's like when you're coaching somebody to be like, oh man, I wish I could just get in there. But you are in there, just in a different set.
Yeah, so it's really cool to be competing with my brother. One, because we train with each other all the time, so we get to see like each other's work, put out on the mat and all the hard work put off and everything. I don't get too nervous. I used to a lot because he'd get caught in a lot of submissions when he was younger and like not tap. But now like he's getting really good, so it's normally guys don't catch him in anything, so I don't get as nervous. And I know he's really good. We put in a lot of work, so it's pretty fun though.
Now,
it's fun competing along with him.
I'm a little curious about this because I had a little birdie who was on a show earlier who told me some interesting information. Now, it appears that your brother is hyper competitive, and you compete.
Oh, yeah.
And it makes me wonder, are you also as competitive? Like, how does that work in your family function?
I'm like competitive if someone's being competitive with me. So like if someone's trying to compete with me, then I would be competitive. But I'm not as competitive as Andrew is, but we're still pretty competitive. We compete with like next to everything, like whether it's weights, bleachers, jiu-jitsu, everything.
See, you compete in things that I don't care about. Those are things that I'm like, oh, bleachers? Yeah, go for it. Win that one. You're good, kid. So to me, I'm like, when our good friend Kody was describing that, he was describing what sounds to me like little brotherness, which is, I want to compete with my big bro, So I don't know if is it just conditional to your family or is it just with everybody?
He's pretty competitive with everybody. Like he'll be competitive with all the guys at the gym, especially family though. I feel like because I have a little brother too, named Caleb, and we're all super competitive with each other, always trying to win, and pretty much whatever we do, be the best. So, but he's competitive with everyone, not just family. I mean, Kody is always with us. He's always trying to compete with Kody. Other guys at the gym, Brandon, Kevin, other guys,
Okay. I just wanted to double check here because to me, when you have Kody being like, as he described, he was like what we refer to as ADCC style, which is taking off sans rash guard. And I was like, how did that happen? He was just like, I was just in the moment, dude. I just felt like, yeah, let's go. And I go, yeah, it sounds like you're that crazy competitive guy too.
Yeah.
So it sounds like
we talked about that.
Well, we
talked about that before, and he was saying something like, yeah, I might rip my rash guard halfway through the fight or something to get some intimidation going or get the crowd into it if I need some motivation or just need to get going. That's what Kody is.
I mean, to be fair, used to work for Hulk Hogan, so I mean, it's one of those things where you just break the rash guard and people are like, I don't know why, but that's cool. yeah, so they get way more into it. So, but it did tell me, I was like, nah, I could definitely see that. It feels like Kody's an extended member of the family, so that's why I wanted to see if it was just conducive to you guys as like a nice little unit, or if it's going there. But let's talk more about you, because what you did was pretty impressive, man. I was watching your matches, and one of the nicest parts about watching somebody like you compete is just you have a very aggressive style. It's very pressure based. It's very hard and difficult, I think, if you're the guy on the bottom with you. So tell me a little bit about the experience. Start with your first match. What do you remember about your first match there?
Are you talking about Third Coast or Midwest?
Well, you know what? We should probably go in order, because I forgot. You idiots. We're all everywhere. Let's talk about Third Coast Grappling first.
Okay, so for Third Coast, that was a pretty interesting fight. I didn't know too much about my opponent. I was originally trying to get a fight with like Nathan Orchard, but he didn't want to fight me because I'm a purple still. So he was going to stick me with one of his students, and so that was one of Nathan's either teammates or students. So I didn't know much about him. There wasn't a lot on YouTube. There was a few fights. I knew that he had kind of had more than 10 Planet style, played some half guard, So I was just really focused on getting my underhooks once I got the takedown and taking the back. He was really hard to submit. He was really good at pushing the choke off, hit a short neck, but eventually had to change to Katsakatami arm triangle and get the finish. It was a good fight. My arms were a little bit gassed from trying to choke him. He was a really tough guy.
How do you, when you look at the schedule, how do you justify saying, it would be fun to have a really good super fight and burn out my arms, is to do a 16-man or 20-man grappling tournament the next day? That seems like something I should do.
Well, I mean, I had committed to the Midwest before I committed to Third Coast, and I didn't know they were on the same weekend until I was like, yeah, I want to fight on Third Coast because I qualified for it earlier on when I won the qualifier tournament. And they told me it was on the same weekend. I was like, well, I just got to make it work because they're both great opportunities. And Midwest had a big cash prize. Third Coast is a huge card, really big exposure, plus they pay well. So I just had to make it work. I don't know.
I get the flights, and Kody walked us through the insane process in which you guys were flying everywhere, so I get that much. But you have a very tall task on hand, which is, okay, yeah, you've got to keep yourself like on a marathon pace so that you're not just burning yourself out there. So why don't we start here? What happened in your first match?
Okay, so for Midwest, my first fight was actually pretty quick. I think it was like maybe a little under 30 seconds, or like 30 seconds. I ended up doing kind of a duck under to get my underhook for half guard. So I sat to my butt, and he left his base up a little bit too high, so I elevated with the butterfly hook, ended up putting him in inside ashi, and changed it to the heel hook. I got a pretty quick finish on that one. Kind of feel bad because his knee popped, but he kind of waited a little bit to tap, but it was okay. It was a good fight, though. It was kind of quick. I was happy I was able to get a quick fight out of the way first and not burn myself out.
When that does happen, though, like, I don't know, you're a nice kid, and I get that, but doesn't it like freak you out when that sort of thing happens? Because to me, I think I might instantaneously vomit if I feel something happen to someone's leg, even though I'm like the one doing it. I just know enough of myself of being like, oh, nope, I'm not okay. I know I did this, but that's not good.
Yeah, I always feel really bad when I hurt my opponent. Sometimes it's inevitable because there's so much stress, leading up to the tournament. People are tense. Maybe they don't stretch before their fight, haven't warmed up, and it's like 0 to 100 really quick. But I always feel really bad when I hurt my opponents. When I was younger, I used to like get really upset, like almost cry when I was doing my fight if I hurt someone. But now it's not that I've gotten used to it, but I've just learned kind of like they'll be all right. It was just an accident. Kind of move on and focus on my next fight, not really dwell at my last fight.
Sure. All right, so you started with Mike in your very first match. Then this has got to be interesting for you because as a competitor, I mean, I'm a different nerd. I'd like to just know a lot about my opponents, and I like to know, like, all right, what do you do? What's your vibe? Because that's the only way I can kind of do my thing. But in your case, you had in the above bracket either one of two opponents who would then face another opponent to then go to you. Is that confusing? Do you have to watch all those matches? Do you even care? Like, does that play a role into anything that's happening for you mentally?
So for me, I've been competing for like probably 9.5 years so far. So I've been in the competition scene for a while. So I kind of know pretty much everybody. So luckily, I don't have to watch too much tape. If I look at their name, I normally recognize them, or even their academy. I kind of can recognize the style and build a strategy off that. For the brackets, I just kind of looked at the brackets, and I recognized a few names like David Garmo, Michael Carpenter, Pierre from DDS, a few guys like that. Kind of built my strategy off that, what side of the bracket I was on. But I try not to focus too much on like a certain opponent, because then I could just get like caught up in that opponent, and then like
Absolutely.
If they don't even win their fight, then I don't end up even fighting them, and it kind of just throws off my whole game. So I normally just try to go in there and apply my game no matter who it is.
Well, that makes sense. I'm curious because it's very rare that you see when there's already a qualifier to get into the tournament, that then you see 20 guys, and I was like, wait, why are they there? And then people were like, oh, I'm sure those are just a misprint or something. I was like, there can't be 4 misprints. There's 4 of them. So why is there, you have to fight to get into it? I was like, do they just have 20 guys? And sure as shit, that's what was happening. And I just thought to myself, I was like, man, that's got to be a hard day for them, because that's, it's supposed to be 4 to win for that. But for them, it could be 5 to win. So instead, we go to your second match. Tell us what happens in your second match, sir.
I fought Michael Carpenter. He's a really tough wrestler. I think he wrestled at Penn State. He's a good purple belt. I think he was on 10th Planet for a while. He might be brown now, but he's on 10th Planet for a while. Kody ended up actually fighting him, I think it was 2 years ago or a year and a half ago at Nogi Worlds. He's really tough, really good stand-up, good top pressure knee slice. I kind of knew what to expect with him from the start because of Kody fighting him before.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that he played a lot of knee slice, heavy wrestling. So my goal was just to put him on his back and then hopefully make him turtle to take the back. But I ended up actually taking him down with double underhooks and landing in side control, and he ended up rolling me off after like maybe a minute or so. And then I was playing my guard for a little bit, ended up we had a few scrambles. He went to my leg once, I went to the calf slice once, and then I almost got on his back and he shook me off. And then he was leading with his knee pretty far forward, so I switched back to the calf slice, and I ended up getting the calf crank for that one. With I think it was maybe a minute 25 left.
That's a good place to be, my man. So that's awesome. At this time, though, you're about halfway through, which means things are looking up for you. Momentum's definitely a very big factor on these tournament sort of things. So what are you thinking going into your third match?
I knew I was fighting Pierre from DDS, Pierre Oliveira, I think his name is.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew he was really tough. I've seen a few of his fights before. I saw him on Kesai. He fought a bunch of really good guys. He didn't do the best on that Kesai, but he still did, or was it Polaris? I think Polaris. But I knew he was really tough. I just watched his fight with Jordan Pitzman earlier, and I just wanted to go in there, maybe get double underhooks from butterfly and pass. And I was hoping to take his back, but I wasn't able to actually find his back during the fight. I was just able to kind of get a few guard passes. I got close on an armbar once, and then a few leg locks, but he was very good at hiding his heel. And we ended up actually going overtime, and I escaped because he got the back first, and then I started on his back, and I ended up getting rear naked in a few seconds.
Nice. That's got to be very nice when you can kind of formulate those things and make them happen, especially in that high-profile situation where you're like, listen, dude, I don't want to be spending too much time here. I've got other plans for the rest of the night, so the quicker we can make this, the better.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's always really good, especially if you go overtime. If you don't have to go several rounds, you just get it over with the first one. It's really relieving.
Now, this is interesting because when we talk about this last match for your final, it was intriguing to me in this sense, which is there had to be some 10th Planet on 10th Planet crime to get the opportunity to fight with you. How closely were you watching those two? Because both Alan and Ruben present entirely different challenges as competitors. So when you were watching it, are you watching it, or are you going somewhere else and just being like, fuck it, I'll be back and I'll see what's up?
No, I was pretty warm from my previous fight with Pierre. I was sweating really good. I put my hoodie on, so I was just sitting and watching the fights. I knew they were both pretty good at overtime. They both have really good attacks from the back. Ruben moves really well. He has good guard passing, very good close guard. I was kind of paying attention a little bit more to Ruben because I figured he would win. And yeah, but they had a really good fight. I was really interested to see who was going to win. I didn't know exactly, and I hadn't seen a whole lot of either of them compete. I just knew that they're both really tough.
And honestly, the hard part is you just speaking on a momentum sort of vibe. Ruben had some wars going on that day. So I'm pretty sure if you're a competitor going on, you're like, okay, well, he might be a little tired. You don't want to live in that world, but you do build it into part of the game plan if you are doing it, I would imagine. But Alan was able to make his way through. So talk to us about the finals match, man.
Yeah, it was a really good fight. I knew he had taken third at Brown Belt Noogie Worlds. I couldn't recognize his name when I first saw him on the card, but when I looked him up, I was like, oh yeah, I know this guy. He has had some pretty good fights with good guys. He did well at the trials. Yeah, he's tough. I believe he pulled guard or sat early on, and I tried going for a few body lock passes, and he ended up putting me in close guard a few times. I got a little worried because he got an overhook pretty tight, and I knew he had really good rubber guard, but I ended up being able to shake him off and then change it to another smash pass. I got the pass, and then I believe he recovered maybe after a few seconds, and then I either ended up falling back on his leg or he swept me, I'm not for sure. And he kept trying to go to my back after I was going to his legs. We went to 50-50 once. Got it back and forth for a little bit, and then I ended up going upside down on his leg and straightened it for a knee bar. About maybe 3 minutes left or something like that. And I had a full overhook on the leg, so it was really tight, and I was able to get the tap.
Yeah, I was actually very impressed because I was cleaning here in my house as I was watching it. And the worst part about cleaning is, you're just kind of like sitting there and you might be doing dishes and you'll just like look down. And you're like, how the fuck do you... Oh, hold on. You have to, like, go get your, like, remote. And you're like, no, let me see. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's really clean. Like, just the way it happened so quickly is I was, I was in the middle of, like, okay, he's filling him out. Okay, he's past here. Okay, this is this. And then all of a sudden, I just see that knee bar, and I go, damn. Yeah, that was good, kid.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of that knee bar. I've never finished a knee bar in a tournament before. I've gotten a bunch of leg locks and foot locks, other submissions, but never a knee bar, so that was kind of one to check off the book, so I was happy about that.
I mean, the biggest question I had for you when I saw you wearing that belt, and it's a nice belt, so props to them for giving you guys a good prize as well, was where do you get off being a purple belt winning a big tournament like that? Because, like, I'm also a purple belt, and that's you know what I mean? Like, I'm not winning tournaments like that. So, first of all, rude, but second of all, do you feel a certain thing like that, especially having been told, somebody like a Nathan Orchard, who is a beast in his own right, he's a friend of our show. I could understand why there might not necessarily be a want to compete with a purple belt, but is there a little bit of a stigma that you have to fight when you are doing those things?
Yeah, so being a low rank has like its benefits and disadvantages. So being a low rank, people tend to underestimate you, so I kind of have like that almost mental advantage because like I'm going against black belts or brown belts. I'm not like worried about. It's kind of like a win-win situation for me. So it's that's the advantages, but the disadvantages is it's hard to get fights. It's hard to get fights for me because guys don't want to fight purple belts because then it's a lose-lose for them. But I try not to look at like ranks as like they're better than me or anything like that. I try to look at it more as just it's just a rank. It's age, things like that. I'll get there eventually. Right now, I just got to get as much competition as I can, more experience. So it's the more higher ranks I fight, the better.
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of these tournaments is the mixing of everybody, so that once you're there, nobody cares about the rank anymore. You just have to do. And I feel like it's something similar to what we have to tell people for ADCC. When I'm helping some of our guys get ready, it's one of those things where I go like, hey, yo, I remember somebody being like, at a tournament, one of my training partners, he goes, yeah, I had this tournament, and yeah, I just beat like he's a brown belt. He's like, I just beat this purple belt, and I was like, yo, you got to get that out of your brain. If you're gonna be competing at ADCC, that purple belt might be somebody who wrecks you, dude. So all of that goes away.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've lost to lower ranks before. It's especially as a kid, you can lose to lower ranks because just the gap of experience is so much bigger. Because some people don't get promoted, some people get promoted, but you just got to go in there fighting them, knowing that they could beat you any given day. So you can't underestimate them at all. You got to go into the same mindset. You fight the biggest guy just like he's the smallest guy. You fight the smallest guy just like the biggest guy. You don't change up your mindset at all.
Well, speaking of this, so we'll come a little bit more with your ADCC background in a second, but I do want to ask, tell me a little bit about what the celebration is for you, because I heard what Kody was doing to celebrate, and it sounds like he had an accomplice in your no good brother who's also challenging him to eat. Was there a food challenge that happened that night between you and your brother?
Yeah, we always tend to eat a lot after we fight, and we're always like, oh, who can finish the most pizza, or who can, eat the most. We always do stuff like that. We're always just trying to eat a lot.
Plus,
because
answer the
get as much calories
following question, which is why? You're saying you need to get as many calories as possible, but do you have to? Because, I get it. I'm all about the celebration afterwards, but you don't have to out-eat each other. That's not something that's important.
Yeah, I mean, for me, food's one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite hobbies, that's for sure, is good food. So if I'm cutting weight and I'm not eating a lot of really good food, I'm eating barely anything, then I just want to just splurge. And then, if there's leftover food and someone's like, oh, I challenge you to eat that, then just, so you can eat it, I guess.
I mean, this is how I can tell how much older I am than you. Being when people are challenging me to eat, I'm like, no, I'm just going to eat like a normal person does. That's pretty good, man. So how did it feel to win? What was the feedback? What was the best thing you heard in response to you winning that tournament?
Probably the best news was Eddie Bravo being like, hey, you want to do combat jiu-jitsu? That was pretty cool. I mean, I always like winning big tournaments like that because whenever you win, there's a lot of eyes on you, and especially the sub-only ones, because then you get a different crowd. I've competed a lot of IBJJF, and you get that crowd, but the sub-only crowd doesn't really respect IBJJF too much, and vice versa. So it's good to do both because then you get both crowds looking at you, for more exposure.
Absolutely, that's good. I have a high appreciation for those who compete in both because it's not easy. One of them is hard enough. Trying to do both at the same time and mixing between the two, and we just had Canuto on, and Canuto the whole time was just like, what did he tell me? He was like, yeah, it's kind of weird. He's like, my brain's all gi, and then all of a sudden I'm no gi, and I'm like, oh no, who am I?
Yeah.
And
I definitely feel that.
And it's tough because my favorite thing is you get some people who go, it's no-gi season. I'm like, every season's no-gi season to me. I have a gi. I try to train that once a day, but I also try to train the other half of my day with no-gi because I don't want to just be dependent on one of them. I always want to be the guy in the gym who's happy to roll both with anybody, So that's pretty cool. Well, so let me get this straight. You got the invite to be an alternate for combat jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so basically if someone drops out, then I'll be put in, hopefully. So he said there's always people that drop out because it's a big bracket, and with injuries, people don't really want to fight with slaps.
So, I was about to say, that means you're in, so that's good.
Yeah.
Because there's always somebody who at the very end of the experience, we get real close to it, and then magically there are those people who are like, I don't see their name anywhere. Where did they go?
I know. Especially with CJJ. I remember the last tournament was supposed to be Gordon and Verdum and Barnett, and then that was wait, why is it just Yuri?
Well, I think, wasn't Yuri a replacement? I thought everybody on that card was a replacement to somebody else.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Because we got there.
It was Kevin Casey and John Thor Blank and some other, I forget the other guy's name. and Yuri. So it was like
Well, you had
completely different names.
Steven Martinez, who had a great match
Exactly,
with
yeah,
Yuri.
Steven.
And
Very good fight.
but like all of those people I looked at and I remembered being like I got the original card out and I go, yeah, none of you were here. And it was,
Yeah.
you know, the stupid part of it was an excuse that we were supposed to see a match between Gordon and Verdum that they then put in the form of a 4-man tournament. And I go, why are we doing that? Just make them have the match.
Yeah, so I thought it was a super fight too, and then I realized that they were in a tournament. So I was like, oh, well, I mean, that's still cool, but
then,
thought it was a
but then they brought him out that night, and they said, "Oh, you guys look out! We're gonna make this happen." And I was like, So now we're just fast forwarding to the two of them and not the 4-man tournament. I mean, we could have just done that all along here, people.
Yeah, exactly.
So fortunately, I guess that's what they're planning in the future. But you know, there's something cool about being in the sense that you're a guy who competes gi and no-gi, which tells me you want to be in whatever's going on. What experience, if any, do you have with striking in your jiu-jitsu?
Very little. I helped some of my training partners back in the day with MMA, but never from my own training. Just always been like either a punching bag or punch them back. You know, never been an actual striker. I did a little Muay Thai when I was younger, but ended up transitioning full to jiu-jitsu. Mostly just done like either grappling or grappling with strikes, but very little strikes, not that much.
That's pretty dope. I mean, I have a lot of appreciation for you for being willing to do it. I would never. There's a lot of stuff I would never do, so that's fine. But if that is the case, though, dude, and you really are looking at competing at this, you know, it is interesting to see. I mean, the good news is you've got a good friend in Kody who's down for the cause, and I'm sure will be slapping you and be including that in there. It does force me to ask this question, which is, would you ever consider MMA? Is that in your future? Or are you just like, hey, man, I love the grappling. That's where I want to be?
So I'm more like the second one. I like the grappling a lot. It's kind of where I want to be. But if I don't make it in the grappling, you know, if I don't really end up making as much money as I'd like, then I'll jump into MMA, because I feel like I could still do well in MMA because I've done jiu-jitsu for a while and I do have some striking experience, but I'd rather just stick to jiu-jitsu. I like it a lot better.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, hey, dude, as somebody who's not competing and also never going to have someone, I take that back. I have helped someone get ready for a combat jiu-jitsu match, and it was interesting, but I didn't volunteer for it. I won't say who, because I was volunteered to do so, and it was mostly because they were frustrated that they weren't submitting me. So that next thing you know, I was just there, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, you know, his crew, like he was just walking through his crew. He had a crew of like lower belts that he was just beasting, and it was just grappling training. And I was like, you know what, just to give these guys a break, I'll come in. I was like, hey man, I'll roll with you. And it was normal grappling. And then before I know it, I'm just like, what? I did not sign up for this. And I realized it was because he would get to a certain part and he wouldn't submit me. And I was just like, no, this is really, I didn't sign up for this. And, you know, he's pulling back his slaps, but I was just like, I don't feel like this. And I did find one thing about myself, which was the first time I got slapped and I was fully mounted. First slap I got was the first like palm strike up, and I was like, why am I doing that? Like that was my instinctive response, was someone slapped me and I was like, fuck you, don't do that shit.
Back.
So it was good to know I have a little fight in me, but it's also not something that I, like I said, volunteered for. But it is an interesting thing. So and we've seen some guys use zero slaps in the
like Stefano Martinez and Yuri had like maybe 1 or 2 slaps in the whole fight.
Well,
there was like no slaps.
Martinez is a homeboy. Like I know him very well, but it was funny because I heard his wife yelling over on the corner, just being like, "Yo, let's get some slaps in there." And I was like, "Yo, Steve, hate to say this, dude, you're a big guy. If you slapped me, I would not like it." And you know, but his and Yuri's match, just as a thing, was a fun match, but it just didn't have as many slaps in it. So it is entirely possible. I do like that you're up for the challenge. Let's do this, because I get the impression we have not done the origin story with you, and I would like to get that origin story. Obviously, you have a little brother who does jiu-jitsu with you. Do both little brothers do jiu-jitsu?
Yes, so both my brothers do jiu-jitsu. I have one brother that's 12, he just turned 12, and then Andrew's 16. So we've done jiu-jitsu basically ever since we were of age.
So
I started back when I was 8 and Andrew was 6, and then Caleb started when he's like 4.
So does that mean that you and your brother started at the same time, or did you lead the charge?
Andrew and I, we started at the same time. It was more like we both wanted to get into something. We tried some karate classes and taekwondo classes, but we weren't really into it. And there was a judo place, or a place that was advertising judo and jiu-jitsu, and we were like, oh, let's try that. We tried the jiu-jitsu class, and we really liked it. And we just signed up. And then a few months later, my dad signed up, and then we just kind of all stuck with it. And then my little brother got in a few years later.
Okay. So the fact that you and your brother started at the same time meant that you couldn't quite pull the big brother card forever because he was learning as you were learning. And that is usually the nice part about being the older brother is you get to beat up on the little brothers. So
Yeah.
was that the case? How did that go? And especially with somebody who's hyper competitive.
So I honestly don't even remember rolling with my younger brother when we started. I think that our coaches kept us from rolling with each other for quite a bit until we were kind of more experienced, and then we started training with each other, and it was fun. We always goofed off and stuff. I would do crazy stuff to him. I remember like inventing an armbar on the leg, and my coach saying, "Oh no, you can't do that yet." So on Andrew, so.
I love that. Inventing an armbar on the leg and being like, oh, no, you don't know what you're doing yet, kid. Stop that. Don't do any of those things.
Yeah, I was super stoked about it. I was like, but I just invented a new move. And he's like, yeah, you didn't invent that, and that's not allowed yet. So.
Hey, but you know what, though? If you didn't have that inclination to start, you couldn't be doing arm bars on people's legs to win major tournaments. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
that sort of stuff, it doesn't seem like it's important, but it eventually pays off. When did you know you fell in love with grappling?
Honestly, first class. So I started back in 2009, and it was first class. I really, really liked it. We just did basic stuff. We did like shrimp from side control and replaced the guard. And then I watched some of the adults roll later on in the adult class, and I just really, really liked it. I thought it was super cool. I always enjoyed watching UFC. We had the old UFC tapes, and we'd always watch those. And my instructor had a big collection of them. We'd always watch those at the gym during the adult class, and I just really liked it all the time. I told you we were really competitive, Andrew and I, so we were always trying to be the best. Once after the first tournament, we were just like, oh yeah, we just got to keep doing this. We just got to, keep training. We got to get more of these Naga swords. We just really loved it.
I still don't, for the life of me, I don't understand why we give children swords.
I know, right? I mean, it probably wasn't. For us, we like zip tied them and hung them up on the wall, but I'm sure for some kids they like sword fight them and stuff. That's just crazy.
I mean, I know parents, and most parents are pretty cool, but I also know a handful of parents who are like, this is a sword. We're just as bad as our kids, if not worse. So I'm always like, oh God, just give the kids the belt. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, give no one the swords. That's actually a much better idea. That's pretty cool, dude. I mean, I got to say this. What's really interesting is my sister, she's 10 years older than me, and she's always telling me, she's like, I can't do jiu-jitsu. I have her taking photographs for a number of different events with me, and she comes, she's like, I love it, I could never do it. And I was like, that's not true. It can work for everybody. I promise you. There's ways you can make it work, like, I get it sucks when you're older, but hey, we all find ways to make it work to our bodies, and it's a lot of technique. Yeah. And it's interesting because in my family, I'm the only one that grapples, but I have someone who understands it now. With you, it's got to be so cool to have like a buddy, a training partner, somebody who you can kind of relate to in a sense of, hey man, we're competing at these big events. We're in this together. So I don't think the word's envious, but I'm very happy that you have that, because I know so many people have to do it alone, and grappling sometimes can feel like a very alone a sport.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really fortunate because it's like almost my whole family does jiu-jitsu or did it at one point. Like my mom tried it for a few weeks. My sister did it for like a year. Both my brothers did it or still do it. And my dad, he trains here and there whenever he has the time, but we all like understand jiu-jitsu pretty well. So it's really cool, especially with my brother Andrew, if we're just talking and stuff, we can just talk about jiu-jitsu. We have nothing to talk about. We can discuss strategies, opponents, fights that just happened. It's pretty cool. I'm fortunate for sure.
I just love the fact, though, that for you, and knowing what this is, and seeing that you're getting these opportunities now. I mean, Eddie Bravo extending the invite has got to be a good feeling. I know that's got to feel good, but I can't help but feel you have larger goals. What are those goals? Do you mind sharing?
My goals right now, like short-term goals, is to win the ADCC trials next time and qualify for ADCC and hopefully win ADCC. That's my goal. It's been my dreams ever since I was little, is to win the ADCC championships. So that's my short-term goal, is to win the ADCC. The closest goal is probably I'm fighting in Jits King next. It's on the 6th of July, and that's going to be in Tampa, Florida. So that's a really big tournament. Rico Coco's in there. I fought him once. It's going to be a good, fight again. He's super tough, super cool guy. But like long term, I'm just looking to compete as much as I can, continue with some schooling, get my business degree in college, and just focus on winning as many tournaments as I can until eventually I settle down and open up my own academy.
Let me get this straight. You're in college right now?
Right now I'm taking a semester off just to focus on these tournaments where I'm traveling so much. But I'm doing AC classes at Austin Community College, yes.
Okay, good for you, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I competed for speech and debate, which is super grueling, mostly because you're talking and performing for long periods of time. I could not imagine doing the gruelingness of the travel for competing on a level for this and doing school. So I totally understand the need to take some time off, but I think it's pretty commendable that you want to go the business route, because here's the thing, business and jiu-jitsu,
oh yeah,
like don't necessarily play great together. And I love that you have that as a future goal, especially as somebody, as you said, you want to open up a gym eventually.
Yeah, I want to open up my own academy. I want to make it an academy, not just a jiu-jitsu academy, but I want to have a place where people can do, weights, yoga, just a big, basically fitness center, something that attracts not just jiu-jitsu people, but other people, and it will help bring them into jiu-jitsu, because, it changes people's lives, and just to spread the awareness of the sport too,
Well, it was nice because I remember I actually just did an interview with Enrico, and he was, talking about that tournament, and it's nice because people were kind of mentioning your name as in there in that mix of that tournament. So it's cool to now, I mean, if you think about it, at a different point maybe in jiu-jitsu, there wouldn't be a conversation where a purple belt would be in that mix. But it is pretty cool that you are putting in the time that puts you in that conversation, and also that allows you to like get in there, perform, and show your shit, man. So I couldn't be happy for you in that sense.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's a real honor, and I've been really excited for what, everyone and God has been doing in my life. So it's been really good,
I mean, the one thing I'm a little pissed is I was told that I was supposed to be commentating one of your matches at Subversive, and yet you will not be on that card.
Which one?
So the Subversive? Subversive is the one where there was talk of there being a team.
Oh yeah, the 5-on-5. I was so disappointed about that. Yeah. It was supposed to be like me, Jordan Holy, Dan Hernandez, Donchi Leon, and someone else. It was like a super cool card, and I was really bummed that didn't happen. But
yeah, same. I mean, I've already told Jordan this, who will have a super fight. We interviewed him yesterday, and I told him, I'm like, I look forward to messing up his name and making fun of him and doing all that sort of stuff on the commentary. But there is always a thing, and I think you would have to go to even Joe Rogan to see this, but like Joe Rogan would routinely tell MMA athletes, like Lovato, he was like, dude, I want to just commentate your matches. Like, it would be an honor to commentate your matches. And for me, I feel that same sort of thing when I see competitors like you, and I'm like, man, I would love to commentate one of your matches, because the whole weekend I couldn't help but not lip sync along, but like literally just kind of providing my own commentary as I was like watching it from the safety of my own home and being like, whoa. Whoa, nope. And there's something to be said when you see young talent that, again, I throw that belt out of the equation. I just say, like, who is this kid? How is he going to compete? And how is he going to compete under this settings? And if you let your jiu-jitsu speak for yourself, I think you can always just kind of change people's opinions. So that's pretty dope.
No, I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I've never commentated before. I mean, I've wanted to. I think it'd be cool. But yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that.
It's a different beast. I tell the guys the way that you guys approach competing is the way I approach commentating. Like, all of you guys want to be the best at that. And for me, it's always being the guy who's on the microphone and interviewing people, and for doing play-by-play, like, it is my goal to be the best at being that. So I do share a very different but similar mentality. Like, okay, there are so many opportunities. I got to get on this card. I got to commentate this. I got to do this. And I got to put it in time on tape. So for me, it's like, studying you guys is interesting because my game elevates. But it's also like, all right, I'm going to watch my 15th grappling match in a row. Let's see what's going on. I can tell you a lot about their game. I can tell you a lot about their half guard and their personalities and their everything. So that's pretty good. I did want to ask you this because I never got the chance to really ask you about your ADCC run. I know you mentioned that as a long-term goal, and I feel like that's even more emboldened by the fact that you did so well at it. I guess in its most simplest form, my question for you is, how did you do it? Like, how did you perform that well at that weekend?
Yeah, so I was telling some people, because I've had a lot of people ask me about it. It was like my best and my worst performance all in the same tournament, because I've never been so in the finals I've never been controlled that well. John Combs absolutely destroyed me, and it's probably the worst I've lost. But I also had some of the best wins I've ever had, so it was a really cool experience. Leading up to it, it was just like tons of training. Kody, Andrew, and I, Rodrigo, all of us, we were training super hard. We were doing weights every single day. We were doing yoga almost every single day, bleachers, training, drilling, rolling, specific training, everything. And leading up to it, it was really, really kind of nerve-wracking for me because I knew I could have did well, but it was more stacked than the previous trials. So I think it was the East Coast trials. I didn't do as well. I lost to PJ in the semifinals, quarterfinals, and the division wasn't as stacked.
So and by the way, you're bypassing that, but that was a hell of a match too.
Oh yeah, that was a fun match. I was kind of sad because I ended up hurting him too, with hurting his knee in a half guard movement. But much respect to PJ, he's a beast and super nice guy off the mat too.
Well, all you did was just put a nice little speed bump for him. I'm seeing all of his rehab. And I'm seeing him come back, and I'm like, I don't want to train with that guy. That guy's been waiting on the sidelines now and just wants to massacre things. But I I was doing a viewing thing here at my place, watching it live, and I remembered watching that match in particular and saying, like, okay, PJ's doing well, but, like, holy fuck, man, you're putting it on him, and that's good. Like, to watch that sort of a thing. And I'm sure that having that kind of performance, while disappointing in the end goal result, especially with the caliber of an opponent like a PJ, said, okay, cool, I'm in this conversation. Let's keep this going. And then coming back and, you said that you've never been handled like that with John Combs. I've trained a lot with John Combs.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Go super well for me.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really study too much of his game. I didn't know I'd be fighting him in the finals on the opposite sides of the bracket as him. I kind of studied more of like my previous fights, like with Kevin and Jason Rao, but I didn't know exactly what to do. Rodrigo wasn't there; he couldn't make it. I believe his wife was having surgery, so I didn't have a coach, so I didn't know exactly how to approach him, and I made a mistake early on that just kind of cost me the fight after I got to sweep early on, But I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully having a fight with him soon. He's a really cool guy. I'll probably get the opportunity, some other time, maybe in a super fighter, maybe even in the next trials. But
I mean, it's interesting because, again, I watched that fight. I know him well, I was very happy for him. I know him very personally, very well. And, you know, the nice part about it is it's like, I always tell somebody and athletes, I'm like, you never quite know how things work out. And it feels like sometimes that's the fuel that makes you start going on your run, you know? Because I could remember being with John at a previous ADCC trials, and he didn't get the result he wanted. And I'm like, you know what's really weird is like these guys, you guys who are all these people who grind and show up every week, if you keep showing up and you do your thing, at some point it becomes your time. And it's interesting to see, and you love seeing it when you see it. And so I feel like, you know, the finishers is a great thing for you to win, and it's nice that you get that momentum, but you start that momentum, it's hard to stop it. And so, especially being as young as you are, it's like, oh shit, dude, this is you at purple belt? Like, so for me, it's kind of weird because I can sit with some perspective in terms of, you may not see it as well as I will see it, where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to see you in 5 years, kid. I'm going to see you, and I won't be surprised. And the nice part is like, now you do those great interviews where you can say like, hey man, I was there interviewing you when you were really just starting to get in the thick of where you're going to eventually end up being. So that's that great feel, man. I'm pretty sure that's giving you more reps in the gym. I'm pretty sure that's giving you more idea, because let's also make sure that people know this. That tournament, the ADCC trials, was the trials from hell.
Oh yeah,
one of the
worst very stacked division
run tournaments with the best caliber of people I've ever seen. So you guys, you didn't just win several 5-6 matches to get to that finals. You also beat like dysentery, long wait lines that would make Disneyland look stupid. You probably were fighting hunger half of that day. I wonder if we would all finish in one day of trials. Like, it was a mental game just to get to the competition.
Oh yeah, because I think like weigh-ins were like at 7 a.m. or something like that, and I was having to cut weight. I had to wake up like 6 or something like that. Stayed up late the night before. I only got a few hours of sleep. Then when I got there, it was supposed to start, so I was like hanging around, stretching, getting warmed up, and then I never ended up starting. And then I was like cooling off again. Then it started, and I like started warming up again, and then my fight never happened, and I was like cooling off again, and that just same process kept happening over and over again. Then eventually I fought, and then there was like, you know, up to like 2 hours in between my fights, and I ended up having to try to take a nap. Fighting like nervous hunger because I was hungry, but I didn't want to eat because I felt like I was gonna maybe throw up if I was gonna eat. So it was pretty crazy. I mean, it was a fun tournament, and it was really cool vibe because it was at the Muscle Farm, but it was not great for the competitor.
I did not envy any of you guys. You know, I was a bystander, and I've said this famously many a times, but I will continue saying it to my dying day, which is I had people who were trying to leave that tournament who were my friends. And they were like, it was like 8 p.m. and they were trying to leave, and we weren't quite at finals yet. And I remember just grabbing them and being like, no one leaves the island. You stay here until this is done, because we're going to see this through, okay? And people were like, Raph, are you okay? And I was like, the island's gotten to me.
Yeah.
I got to see. And they're like, can't you leave? And I was like, no one can leave.
Yeah,
you just got to see it be done. But yeah.
Well, plus there was only that one bathroom too, and there was like, you know, like a 2-hour bathroom line or something crazy. So it was really hard. It was messed up.
Fun story. I definitely remember seeing John Combs walking out of the ladies' bathroom, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I remember him being like, and I go, I can't be too mad at you. Get out of here. But it was bad because there was a 4-hour, 5-hour wait time just to get to the competition. And that to me is what, as you mentioned, the warming up and staying ready for that long. You know, it's a true testament to the people there. So, you know, kudos to you, man. That was a good performance, and I think it's something that you should be very, very proud of, considering how many amazing practitioners were in that bracket as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it was super cool. I had a lot of fun fights. Met a lot of cool faces, you know. ended up learning a lot about myself as a jiu-jitsu athlete and, as a person. It was a cool, really good tournament. I felt like it really not only put my name out there, but built my own confidence and, who I am as a competitor, especially for this year.
Absolutely. All right, dude. Well, let's do this. Let's start to round third on this. I want to ask you, you've got Jits Kings coming up. You've got, I'm sure you're looking at, if I'm just borrowing off of what Kody was saying, you're looking at Nogi Pans and such as the like. What else is coming up for you this year?
Nogi Pans. We might be going to Europe. So you're going to be doing like the European Open. I believe there's European Nogi, London Open, some different stuff out there. Yeah, it's going to be good. Then we got Nogi Worlds at the end of the year. Hopefully mix in some super fights here and there. Austin Open, I actually think, is in a few weeks too. So that's, in our hometown. So we're definitely going to try to get a lot of guys from the team to do that one and hopefully do well.
That's good stuff, dude. And can we take care of any sponsors who help you get, or your training partners who help you get prepared for major tournaments like this?
Yeah, so Archetype Athletic, they've been helping me since, for a while now. Super cool, very good company, very good product. Shout them out for sure. TKO Nutrition also, they help me with my meals, protein, things like that. Super, super cool guys. If you guys are ever in town, you got to stop by there and give them a visit. And then, my team, Rodrigo Cabral has been in such a big thing in my life for the past 2 years. He's been building me on and off the mat. My game has improved drastically, constantly pouring into me in the weights and all different aspects, yoga, recovery, not just, technique, but all my teammates too, man. I mean, Kody, Andrew, and I are with each other probably, almost 24/7, training super, super hard. I got a bunch of other teammates too, and Brandon Gutierrez, bunch of cool guys at the gym that we all push each other really hard. Jordan Holy, he's been coming down and training, and he's a beast. He's been getting really tough. Super cool to have him. We got a lot of guys, too many names to mention, but definitely thankful for my team. Wouldn't be here without him.
It's good stuff, kid. That's really good to hear, man. And again, could not congratulate you enough. It's a pretty cool moment. I'm glad you get to take a nice little victory lap and you're right back at the grind, which is important. But it is funny, and I hope you understand this, which is I interviewed almost all, the only one's Nikki, but almost all of the ADCC North American qualifiers. So that means, everybody who qualified here on both East and West Coast, I interviewed all those people. And even though you took second over here on the West Coast, which means I didn't interview you then, it is an inevitability for some athletes that I end up interviewing them. And so it's one of those things where you didn't get your interview that day, but this weekend you won and you definitely deserve an interview. And it's my pleasure to give you that interview that you deserve for winning a tournament like this. But I hope you understand that within a short window of time, from February till this past weekend, it's a pretty quick correction that you made so that you make people like me make sure that you get the credit you deserve. So I hope that registers for you, because sometimes it doesn't for athletes. You get so much eyes on the prize, and ADCC is another 2 years away, but it's a pretty impeccable thing to be able to make those moves that quickly and then know that you're young enough where those moves continue to go forward.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it. It's like I said, it's just all from my team, my parents. They support me, my family, and God, it's just all been, it's all due to them. It's not really me. I mean, I'm just here showing up and doing the work. It's all them that helps me.
It's you too, kid. You don't undersell that. And I appreciate you also putting Kody in our direction and our sights, because we've had our eye on him a little bit as well. So it is always great to be able to be like, when you sent him, I was like, yeah, send him to me. I'm like, that's fine. I'll interview him too. So I'm glad we were able to get you guys both on today and do all that sort of good junk. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get on out of here. I know you're awaiting, probably training and teaching right now, coming up next. Yeah, kids class here soon. And then going to do maybe some yoga and then night class. That's great. I'm very pleased to see that. And just so you know, our good friend Quentin is sending out a note that says, William, Tackett is a badass. So sending in
Thanks,
some
Quinn.
love from the Hitman, which is also good people here. Well, sir, I thank
Oh,
you very
wait.
much for your... What?
Oh, I was gonna say to Quentin, we trained with a guy that knows him, and they said his nickname is Butter Teeth. I don't know, but they said because his teeth were yellow back in the day. But just thought that I would tell Quentin that we train with Mark Shin. He trains with us now, so.
Butter Teeth? That's the nickname y'all go for?
Yeah, I don't know. Mark told me that. He's like, "Oh, you know Butter Teeth?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know him. I don't know him by Butter Teeth, but."
You know what the nice part is? Y'all jiu-jitsu guys who get really, really good, not the most gifted comedians. Definitely, good at jiu-jitsu. Jokes need a little bit of work. Quentin, we got mad love for you, kid. And
oh yeah, he's a beast.
I think the world of that guy too. So it's just such a stupid nickname. Hey, what's up over here? We got 2 eyes over here.
2 eyes.
Everybody's got 2 eyes, you idiot. All right. Well, listen to this. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I'm going to close out this. But my thanks to your champ for the weekend, our good friend, Senor William Tackett. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you.
You too. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to an amazing episode of Grappling Hour. It was so much fun to talk with those guys, Kody, Renato, and obviously our good friend, William. 3 very cool stories, lots of great grappling going on. I'm very excited. I'm going to try and make, I believe, the opening of our good friend Edwin Najmi's academy out here at Gracie Barra Torrance. It's really Encino. But I should be going to that. Hopefully we'll be able to get some footage with him. And lots of stuff coming up, you guys. Don't forget Kasai's coming up. We've got lots more grappling. Do not forget that we are always on week after week here at Grappling Hour. If you have not followed us, do us a solid. Go amend that right now. Follow us at Grappling Hour on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on iTunes. We're on iTunes and Spotify. Do not forget that fact. We love the fact that you guys are supporting grappling on all stages, whether it is on the local circuit, if it is on the major circuits, and we're very excited for the things to come. I want to thank all of our guests, all of our sponsors. Big shout out to our good friends over at Luda Gear, who we love near and dear. That's going to do it for us today. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did or didn't, not going to lose sleep over it, but it was a good episode. You're just dumb. That's going to do it for us here. It's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you guys on the mats.